This is CS50 on Twitch. My name is Colton Ogden, and I'm joined today by
Veronica Nutting. Thanks so much for having me today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, why don't you tell everybody, our fine audience on Twitch, sort of your, well, first of all, your relationship with CS50, and then maybe some more about yourself.
Sounds good. Hey everyone, so I'm CS50's head course assistant here at Harvard. A little bit about me, I'm from West Virginia and Argentina. I took CS50 last year. I'm a computer science major here at the college, and I'm super duper excited to be here today. Python is my favorite language. Yes, primarily because it's named after Monty Python, perhaps my favorite comedy troupe.
Fun fact, that's one cool thing.
That's one cool thing, yeah. So this is 100 things, that's gonna take quite a bit. This will likely be a multi-part series. So stay tuned. You're hopefully going to be seeing a lot of my face.
And you're actually doing the part, like a big part of the translation project for CS50
I
to
am.
Spanish.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, born in Buenos Aires, have grown up, in West Virginia and Argentina, and as part of CS50 sort of push to accessibility, push towards, reaching as many people as we can. We're translating and sort of trying to get as much Spanish stuff out there as possible. So I've been, I think, a pretty big part of that. Worked a bunch over that over the summer, and then there's a lot left to do, and we're super excited to keep working on that.
Yeah, I see I think David showed your Super Mario Brothers in Lecture 9.
So I've gotten so many Snapchats and text messages and tons of people, just such positive feedback. I think people are really happy that we want to reach the Hispanic world. We're getting there. We're very excited. And then, after Spanish, could be any number of languages.
Yeah, I know we're working on Arabic and I think Russian or Ukrainian as well through a third party. But yeah, definitely as many languages as we can. Got to spread CS50, spread the love, right?
Yeah.
It looks like our chat box for some reason
so cool. Okay,
it got like messed up.
This chat is really fun. I can't wait to communicate with all of you.
We got a lot of.
It is named after Monty Python. Isn't that so cool? If any of you haven't seen the movies, I really, really highly recommend them.
Yeah, no, they're fantastic. The Holy Grail. What's the other one?
Meaning of Life.
Meaning of Life.
And
yeah.
Life of Brian. They're the only movies that I have saved on my iPad.
Yeah, no, they're hilarious.
I can rewatch
I didn't appreciate them
them
as much as a kid. I think they're funnier the more you
gain
for sure. Insight into the world. I think. Let's read some of these messages.
Yeah.
So we have a bunch of people that tuned in advance. We were a couple minutes later today, so we had a few of those messages. We had to get some stuff set up.
Super excited for the session. Ditto.
Scotty says, is there any language Colton doesn't know? Yes, there are plenty of languages, like real languages that I don't know. I pretty much only really know English well. I've dabbled in a few other languages.
What other languages?
A little bit of Spanish, but
okay.
Don't challenge me to speak.
You can join our translating team. That's what percentage of computer science languages do you think you know? What percent?
Are we considering every small language? Probably like 0.1%. There's like thousands of programming languages.
I don't know. That's
if we're talking
realistic
about
and humble.
Like main computer, like big programming languages, quite a few of them to like a degree, but not. I would say Python's one I'm very comfortable with.
Good.
JavaScript is reasonably comfortable with.
Okay.
Lua I teach with, and C# I teach with.
Right. Yeah. You should definitely check out. Sure all of you are quite familiar with Colton, but he has a lot of great resources online.
Much appreciated.
If you're curious in game development.
Thank you.
Let's see what else. Music is pretty good here. I agree. We have a DJ in the house. I don't know if anyone knows this.
We're jamming out a little bit in advance, Hizia Kama, hello everyone. Bavik Knight, maybe assembly language. I have been learning a little bit of assembly language. Have you
Actually, I'm taking a systems programming class. So actually, I've been looking at a lot of assembly language recently.
Do they use x86 assembly?
Yeah,
okay.
x86, 64.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know a little bit of 6502, which was the old CPU from like the 70s and 80s for the NES, the Commodore 64. A little bit of the Z80 because that's what the Game Boy was programmed.
Interesting.
In. Yeah.
Oh wow.
But yeah, it's a rough journey.
Was that your era?
No, that was not. Well, Game Boy, original Game Boy with Pokemon. Anybody else in the chat? Anybody else
Pokemon?
playing Pokemon back in the 90s? Did you play Pokemon?
No, I was born in 98.
Okay.
So.
Well, Pokemon was like at its prime, like in 99, I guess. So maybe growing up as a small child, you might have had it or had friends that had it.
Yeah, like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah. Those are all like sort of like
Nintendo.
those are like the peak, and then they started to enter their dip.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Is a CS major at Harvard extremely difficult? That's a good question.
You have more insight into that than I do.
I think I maybe do have more insight. I think with any major, there's a way that you can do it, and it's going to be really, really hard and very time intensive. And then there's a way that you can, go through the major at a more relaxed pace. I think I'm trying to go somewhere sort of on the middle to more intense side. But I think it all depends on sort of what you want to do after college and what skills you think you're going to need moving forward.
Are you do you have a secondary in anything?
So that's an interesting question. Do I have a secondary, which is sort of the fancy Harvard word for minor? Maybe something like, maybe statistics, maybe human and evolutionary biology, maybe government. So short answer is totally not sure.
You're kind of like you're still deciding?
I'm still deciding. Yeah, we don't really have to pick for a while. I speak Spanish and English. That's great. What are you guys talking about? Currently a bit of just, intro life. Grew up with the NES.
There's a lot of chat today. I'm trying to.
Wow, wait, this is great.
I feel bad not.
No, but we're gonna.
Part of me wants to
quickly.
go into the Python, but part of me wants to make sure that we're having.
Yeah, we want to stay sort of connected with all of you.
Music is pretty good, just says VPOL. Thank you very much.
Maybe assembly language. Okay, yeah.
Colin's been this for a while now. He's supposed to know this stuff, says VPOL. Yeah. Well, we talked about this on the last stream, but it's a never-ending process of learning. You will never know everything there is to know in CS.
Socrates
Rajesh
said that.
Is that what he said?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Rajesh, Kenan RK says, hi. Hello, Rajesh. Good to have you. Bavik says, hi, Veronica. Bavik is a regular. He's here almost every stream. So
really?
Shout outs to Bavik for being a regular.
Hello, regulars.
Alio says, he's got the way. I always think that's an image of Aaron. It looks kind of like Aaron.
I thought it maybe was an image of me.
Yeah. I think I always look and see that. I see that as Aaron, like waving, kind of like smiling.
This emoji does not look like Aaron. Aaron, if you're watching this.
Nuanda, who is Asley, says, whoa, it's named after Monty Python. She also says, can't join today, about to take a plane in 30 minutes. Just want to wish you guys and Veronica a nice
trip.
She's
Safe trip.
Also a regular.
Wow, nice.
We have a few people here that are regular.
That's exciting. Is CS50 Contact open source?
CS50 Contact proves, content. He said,
content. Yes, it's all. Well, a lot of our tools are open source.
A lot of our tools are, yeah. There's
a lot of our tools
some tools that
are
certainly, I think some of them
under
are
development.
Private, under development. But all of our courseware, all of our lectures and videos and stuff like that, that's all open.
All open, all free. Definitely take advantage of it. It's really a phenomenal thing to be a part of.
Yeah, edX and YouTube and other platforms.
Mandarin.
M. Kloppenberg is a regular. Hey, everyone. Got a lot of people today. Mandarin. Oh, yes, Academy 529. Mandarin, no. I do not know any Mandarin. Do you know any Mandarin?
I don't know Mandarin.
That's a language I do want to learn, though.
I was going to say, it's on my list of things to do.
Yeah, it's so much different. So it's so hard because of the tones. I feel like that's such a hard language.
CS50 course are really cool. I agree. Got some great courses.
Python is my go-to language. A fair grip on it, says Bavik Knight. Yeah, no, it's a fantastic language for just about everything. Actually, my programming languages. Oh, it says Sky in the reference to the language. Yeah. Zodiac, I speak Spanish, English.
Love it.
Vipul says, let's talk about this over text. He's got a private conversation with Bavik Knight. Pokemon is so cool.
Which is Pokemon Silver?
Pokemon Silver was Generation 2, so that was in 99. So you would have been just a baby at that point, but that was the generation that I think I was the most excited about.
Okay.
Like Gold and Silver, because that was right after the first one, Red and Blue, right? Which was super hype. That's the first one, the first generation of Pokemon, and then Gold and Silver was like, damn, like they're making it so much better, and then they've made like a million different ones after
I would say Silver is my favorite color.
Yeah, Silver.
Or black.
Yeah. They also made a black, Pokemon Black.
Really?
Pokemon Black and White.
This might be something I'm going to have to...
Yeah, you have to dig into a little bit, do a little bit of research,
Look into, yeah.
You grew up on the NES, M. Koppenberg. What's been your favorite course?
What's been my favorite course overall? Okay, so I'll say CS50, and I'll also say I took 2 really great classes. One I'm taking right now, evolutionary medicine, and I also took a really interesting seminar last fall on modern civilization and the rise of heart disease, and I'm also taking a really cool Russian literature class.
Wow.
So intro to computer science, 2 sort of like medicine-y classes, and then Russian literature.
Interesting. So like all over the place too. This is like nothing to do with CS beyond CS50, right?
Okay, so I think nothing to do with CS. Almost like everything has to do with CS.
You could use CS in that area.
For sure.
It's not a CS-oriented course.
Yes, but I think even beyond sort of, there's tons of applications that I can think of like analyzing Russian literature using CS or some really cool thing and like statistics. But even beyond that, I think just sort of the way that you train your brain to think when you're learning CS, that is all so applicable in the humanities and obviously in the sciences. So I've found that my brain sort of on CS is just much better at literary analysis and sort of like reading scientific papers. So I think it's absolutely all connected.
Have you seen the commercial like "This is your brain on drugs" and she smashes an egg? I just thought about that because you said my brain on CS. Like this is my brain on CS.
That's cool. Okay.
Not that has the same effect on your brain at all. Quite the opposite, actually. It's a funny little thing that popped.
I just think it changes sort of how you think and how you process everything and how you can bring things together. So I think it's always very exciting to feel like I'm one of few people that study CS in a humanities classroom because I do think it gives me a different perspective.
Do you know the meme where it's like the brain with different levels of like electricity or whatever?
Yes, I do know that meme.
That's your brain on CS.
That's my brain on
there
CS.
We go.
Okay, the brain on CS. Okay.
Andre is a regular. He's also a prominent figure in the Facebook group. He says hi, Colton, Veronica. Hi, Andre. Good to have you with us.
All of you. Yeah, that's so wonderful to see. I hope to sort of interact with you more often. This is exciting.
Jeffrey Hughes says, hey. Jeffrey Hughes has been on quite a lot.
Oh, hey there.
Vipul says Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a great game and a show. I haven't played much or seen much of it, but it was very famous when I was in.
How you spell Yu-Gi-Oh? Wow.
Yes, it is. Yeah, there's some capitalization in there in the actual.
Okay.
Lulia Kot says, hey, from Ethiopia. That's the first time that I think we've seen you, so thanks for joining us today.
Wait, that's so cool.
Yeah,
okay, my best friend is half Ethiopian, so welcome.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we have people from all over the world. It's fantastic.
That's so exciting.
And M. Kloppenberg tossed our GitHub into the chat. Nice.
Awesome, thanks.
Rajesh, machine learning, I'm interested to learn the content available in CS50. Yeah, we did. So if you haven't seen the stream already, Nick and I did a stream like 2 weeks ago-ish. Where he built a simple binary classifier in TensorFlow. So if you want to like kind of intro to that, and I think we're going to do kind of like a more from the ground up machine learning stream at some point.
That's exciting.
Yeah, 'cause that one was kind of, it was basic but somewhat involved. So definitely check that out. Check our future
TensorFlow is
streams
super cool. Yeah, and Nick is great. Highly recommend it. Yeah, definitely go watch that stream.
Yeah, most of it just kind of went past my head. I was like, I gotta dive into this at some point. Maybe I have to Pokemon Yellow too. I'm not sure. It's to stay peaceful. Do you want to be a doctor? Says Scotty.
That's a great question. I get this a lot. I have a lot of sort of professors that are like, you'd be such a great doctor. Honestly, I think being a doctor is just really hard. I'm not sure that I, could or want to spend, so much of my time in such an intense environment as a hospital. That being said, I'm fascinated by medicine and have the greatest respect for the medical community, although we should always be critical of every community. No, but I love medicine. I don't want to be a doctor. Nope.
It's like not hard necessarily in the technical sense, but more like the emotional weight.
Yeah, I think also in the technical sense, I just think it's such an incredible thing to know, especially so young, that you want to devote your life to. And I think I'm a person that's sort of totally on the other end, that's like quite well-rounded and interested in a bunch of different things. So the idea of like devoting my life to one path, and especially a path as like intense and charged as a doctor is quite a big step that I'm not currently planning on taking. But I love doctors and I love vets.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's something that I feel like you probably would want to make that kind of decision later, or at least once you gain more.
It takes a special, really strong, really brilliant person to want to go into medicine, as a nurse or doctor or sort of anything in that field.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. I don't know if I would ever want to do that either. I wouldn't want to do it for the emotional weight. I feel like it would just be hard for me to deal with. I'm here for the spam, says President of Mars. Here for the spam, and then is that a Monty Python reference as well? Because isn't spam one of the Monty Python skits? Am I getting that right?
Oh, it is. So interesting thing about Monty Python. So actually, I prefer their movies, which is a bit of a controversial thing. A lot of people prefer, they were sort of like, they do skits or did skits, and then they also have the movies. So I'm less familiar with the skits, but I think they do have a very famous spam one. And then that little thumbs up, I'm not sure who that person is.
That's called the Seems Good. Seems Good.
Seems good.
doing good.
Okay.
And then Nish the Gamer says, I'm here for Colton's hair.
I am
Nish. Thanks
also here for Colton's hair.
Thank you.
Thank
you for the support.
all natural?
It is not all natural. Well, in the sense that I'm using product. Yeah, it's not it's got stuff in it.
Okay, that's squishier than I thought.
Oh, you thought it was gonna be like pressed.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, thankfully not. Rajesh says, I found binary classifier in CS50. Thanks, guys. Oh, yeah, nice. Yeah, definitely check that out. And again, in the future, we'll be doing a little bit more, hopefully, of a little bit more of from a ground up machine learning stream. We have to kind of talk to the details. We had so many ideas that came out of the last stream. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
We were like talking about ideas for like 30 minutes.
Really? Yeah. About possible streams?
Yeah. Control the flag. So there's this thing called, I didn't know about it, called CTF. Capture the flag, sorry, where you have to find a string on someone's system and it's hidden somewhere in a very hard to find spot. It's for like white hat hacking kind of stuff. And Nick is super into that stuff. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. No, he's brilliant.
He's in my systems programming class.
He knows like everything. It's amazing.
It's really great.
But yeah, no, it's fantastic. All right, Sasha Kent. So a little more Python too. So why don't we take that as our first step to looking at some Python stuff. So I'm going to bring up your screen. Is that okay?
Sounds good. Yeah, let's do it. Whew. So we've promised you all 100 cool things about Python. And we're sort of going to start a little bit basic today, and then we're going to build up, hopefully, again, over the course of, a handful of more sessions. So throughout this stream, definitely let us know what you want to learn, because we're very curious. We can sort of, cater this experience to whatever you're thinking. And yeah, let's just jump right in. I think I first wanted to start off with a cool discussion of, very basic Python data structures, and then I have this slightly political activity.
Oh man, I'm excited. I'm curious to see it.
Yeah, it's basically like, we need more diversity in the White House.
Sure, yeah.
So let's take a look at who we've had as presidents.
Oh man, I wonder what the distribution is going to look like.
Okay, and then question, should we wait for input at every step, or do we just sort of jump in and people jump in?
People will definitely contribute to the chat. And we will probably not get through 100 things today. We'll probably get through a much smaller number than that. But like Veronica said, the plan is to have more of these and eventually have a corpus of 100 or so things that we talk about. Just because it's hard to talk about, fit 100 things into a 2-hour, 3-hour stream, and not interact with it. Even if we didn't interact with the chat, it would still be like impossible almost.
Oh, it would still be impossible. I also think I think that's sort of what makes this experience quite special, is that we are sort of talking through with you every step of the way. It's not just, a YouTube video that you sort of found and stumbled upon and are going to watch and sort of forget about. It's something where, it's a conversation, really, which is really exciting. Oh, that's special.
And Tom, because what? Not 100? Clickbait. Yeah, a little bit almost, right?
Almost. There's like a small or so nestled in there somewhere, I think, maybe in the description. But again, it's 100 over the course of N sessions.
N sessions, exactly.
Lol.
And it gives us, a perfect chance to have you back with us multiple times, which is, of course, the main, the main goal.
The main goal.
Good things take time in Babbitt Night. Exactly.
Oh, wow.
Nikolai, 1, 2, 3. Hey, that's inappropriate, Nikolai. That's inappropriate.
This is a kid-friendly show.
It's supposed to be kid-friendly.
Oh, you have no filter?
There's no filter now. It's people can basically say whatever they want. We're kid-friendly. That's the important part.
We're kid-friendly.
Yeah, we need a disclaimer.
If your kid can read.
Does not apply to people in the chat.
It does not apply to people that can read.
And I'm going to start trying to get better at this about, I have a follower widget now that basically tells us when we have a new follower in the stream. And so we have N3 Demas. Let's see, it's loading again. No, sorry, Z3 Demas, or Zedimus. Thank you for the follow. Print wee says Nikolai. There we go. Adam Fighter 10101, print 20 peanuts. 20 times peanuts.
20, I'll just do peanuts.
But then you have to multiply that by 20, I think.
Peanuts?
Penuts. I'm not sure where we're going with that, but...
Just gotta start somewhere.
Yeah. You could do that just in the Python interpreter even.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if you bring up Python 3 and then type print peanuts, and then you can multiply that string by 20.
Really? Just like that?
Yeah, and then that will actually print it 20 times. So there's a cool thing you can do in Python.
Okay,
Python supports multiplication of strings. And so what it'll do is we'll just concatenate them together and form a new string. So there's one thing. There's a cool thing. Oh, Adam Fighter says he or she misspelled peanuts.
No, okay. Oh, in the comments or in the... This is definitely how you spell peanuts.
It is. What happened? This is so cool. Wow. You forgot the parentheses. You forgot the parentheses. There we go. That's okay. But yeah, isn't that nice? That's a cool thing about Python. A lot of people don't necessarily know about that. So if you want to do, what is it?
What's
Mario.
a message? Okay.
There's a something in. It's not Mario. It's what is it? Somebody did it in HBAP. They did. They were able to print. They were able to print something rather than using a nested for loop. They just used string multiplication.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool. Okay, that's exciting. Have any of you? Okay, what is?
Adam Fighter is saying the print 10
sure.
hashtag print smiles. Yeah.
What a nice audience. Also, okay, fun thing. I don't know if anyone caught this, but my last name is Nutting, so I always get all these jokes about like nuts.
Yeah.
I have like a what's it called?
Are you hopefully not allergic to nuts? Because that would
I'm not. I have no allergies.
That would be the most ironic thing.
I feel like I asked that question to a lot of people as like an icebreaker. I'm like, do you have any allergies? And then occasionally I get someone that's like, I have a very severe allergy. Please don't treat this lightly. So I'm sorry if you have it.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
A severe allergy. Okay, printing some smiles. Okay, and we'll go ahead and print 100.
Osman Almeida says, "Thank you guys for the live streams. I follow from time to time." Yeah, thank you for joining us. President Mars has got the. I'm actually not sure what that emoji is. Cox Ice, Jesse Cox. I'm not sure if that's Jesse Cox. M Cloudworks, what's going on here? Oh, I see. Nutting. Now he gets it. He sees your name. Did you have it? Yeah. He was lost. I think he said Nutting. He didn't realize your last name was Nutting. He
didn't realize okay, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think we did say it at the beginning, though.
I feel like we said that. I don't think it's in the description somewhere.
It is in multiple places, multiple descriptions, yeah. If self.nutting, which is the okay, that's inappropriate, Nikolai. We gotta come.
Wow.
we gotta bring it. I gotta stop reading these. I gotta stop reading these out loud.
Yeah, people aren't gonna filter themselves, and we need like a filter.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying my best.
It's always like it sort of goes in a couple of different directions.
Yeah.
The last name thing.
Yeah.
But I just felt because we were talking about nuts.
Yeah. Well, at least that's out there. Mm-hmm. We've broken that.
We've broken that. Yeah.
We've broken that ice.
Gotten that out of the way, and then I have a pseudonym that's Victoria Pecan. Because people call me Victoria, like they just mess up my name and call me Victoria, and then Pecan because of nutting.
I get it. It's very, very sophisticated humor.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Anything else we want to show in the?
I can't think of anything else. Oh, I guess while we're talking about strings, maybe format strings, because I'm not sure if people are super familiar with what format strings are, which is a Python 3.6 feature.
It's very
so you
cool.
can actually type an F in advance of a string. And then that will allow you to insert a variable in curly brackets, which will allow us to. It functions as a template, a string template. But they're called format strings in Python. They're called templating, or what are they called? Template literals in JavaScript.
Yeah, so we've seen a very basic example. So if any of you have seen or tinkered around with C, you'll know that if we wanted to sort of do this in C, we'd have to do like hello there, %I, some sort of placeholder, and in this case 5, and we'd print it that way. But imagine if you wanted to print out a string and you had a ton of placeholders, this could get really messy, right? So I could do like hello there, my numbers are, %I, etc.
And you could have like an S1, like hello something before that even, to make the string even more complicated.
Hello, that's a great point. And again, this is one of those things that as the language evolves, we start making all these decisions to sort of make it more reader friendly and then just make it clearer, right? Again, so let's take a look at this. So even this right now is already starting to get a tiny bit messy. I'll throw in a float. Dun, dun, dun.
Just to be fancy.
Oh no! Uh-oh. I keep accidentally. Oh, this is also this is C, so this isn't going to compile, but this is what it would look like. Veronica.
Giving perspective.
Yeah, giving perspective about how ugly this would be in a different situation.
It's already making me a little bit sick.
Yeah. And then I'll do a 7.5. So this is, I'd have to, print out this ugly thing in C, whereas in Python, and in this version of Python which you're using, which again is Python 3. I think I'm using 3.7.
I use 3.7.
Yeah,
I don't know.
same.
You can
I
see
think I'm
which
using
version you have.
3.7.
If you open up Python, it'll tell you immediately.
Like Python.
You just do Python 3. Just type in Python 3. And then there it says 3.7.
3.7! Yeah,
Compiled with
wonderful.
Clang 6.0. Or it's using Clang 6.0 in the back end for something. I don't remember. I don't remember what the Clang bit is there.
How many Python versions do you keep on your computer?
I have 2. So I have 2.7, 2.7, and 3.7.
Do I have 2?
You should, if you just type Python, that should just be your 2.7. Yeah.
Interesting.
Easy comments in the term. Scotty says, "Keep it PG." Babington says, "Keep it PG, please." I appreciate the humor. I think if this were my own stream, I would probably be less.
Who's today's guest? It's
kid-friendly.
Veronica.
Oh yeah. It's Veronica Nutting. So she introduced herself earlier, but she head CA.
Yeah.
Also our Spanish translator for our Spanish initiative that we're trying to.
Yeah, we're taking CS50 to I think it's like 500 million people that speak Spanish.
That's a lot of people.
I think it's a lot of people. It's
Is that number 3?
I was just talking about this. I think it's number 3 in
would
terms
imagine,
of native speakers.
I would imagine English, Chinese, Spanish.
But that would be I think there are a couple more when you do like total speakers, but native speakers. Because there are more total English speakers and there are total Spanish speakers, but there are more native Spanish speakers than there are native English speakers.
That makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at like the biggest languages in terms of native speakers, Spanish is, I think it's number 2 or 3.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which is exciting.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
it's
so
hard to
it's a big
compete. It's
audience.
hard to compete with Chinese though. Chinese, you're competing with like
Well,
1 point something, 2 billion
Mandarin
people,
or
1 or 2 billion
Cantonese.
people. Yeah, which is
A
insane.
couple dialects. Do I like Buenos Aires? I love Buenos Aires. It's such a cool city. It's great. Yeah, highly recommend. Although, people, you know what? Tiny tangent. Someone recently was talking about Brazil, and they were like, "Oh yeah," and like it was about a book. A book set in Brazil, and then they were like, "Oh yeah," like the main character, lives in Buenos Aires, and I was like, "That's Argentina, not Brazil."
So clearly a non-native writer.
Just like an American.
Which is hilarious. Who wrote the book?
Guillermo, something. It was like a cool new book that they picked up at Lamont at our library. That was like a new and upcoming author, and I was like, oh, that's a cool cover. What's the book about? And then they were like, oh, it's like set in Brazil, blah blah. And then I look at the back cover, and like the first part is like in Buenos Aires, like blah blah blah. And I was like, pretty sure it's set in Argentina.
You just immediately started cringing. Oh, English, Chinese, and Spanish. There we go. We were right. It's beautiful. High five.
English, Chinese, and Spanish, native or total speakers?
Probably total speakers, honestly. I think English is probably the
Zodiac.
largest, but it's not, Yeah, Zodiac.
Like Zodiac Killer?
Yeah. Not Zodiac Killer. We'll not give him that. Zodiac X.
Him or her,
Yeah.
Zodiac.
Zodiac is a regular though. We see him.
Really?
See him or her. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but we see them a lot.
Interesting. I'd assume total, yeah.
And then Kaltenberg list of there we go, list of languages
click on it?
by native speakers.
Well,
It'll be
it
on
won't
my
show up,
computer.
though. Does
It'll
it
be on
show
my
up?
computer, but if we go down here, number 1, okay, Mandarin, Spanish, number 2.
Boom!
There we go. You had it.
Boom!
You're right on the mark. But yeah, it's hard to compete with Chinese. Look at that. You're what's that? 200% higher, or not 200%, 300% higher. Yeah, pretty crazy.
That is really crazy. Okay, no, but that's exciting. Yeah, so again, I think the motivations for CS50 moving in the Spanish direction are quite clear. And then I think, the world is our oyster in terms of languages.
We have to consider a Mandarin port too. You want to learn Mandarin? You want to learn Mandarin and then...
So I want to learn Mandarin, Russian, Arabic, the list of languages I want to learn.
I was going to ask you, since you were doing Russian literature, if you knew Russian. Do you know how to read Cyrillic, the script?
No. I'm working on it. But the short answer is no. I think it's one of those annoying things that reading Russian literature in English, you just can feel that it's not the same. Like, I wish I could read it in Russian.
I only know about like Tolstoy And who else? There's another really famous Russian
Babel,
author.
Pushkin.
No, not those ones.
Gogol.
Those are all, I'm sure they're all very famous.
Nabokov.
I just don't happen to know them. There's another really famous one that I just don't remember.
Okay, what are we getting
What
there?
programming environment are you guys on? What programming environment are you on? So you're using, okay, right, yeah.
Yeah, I'm using Atom.
We didn't discuss that.
Okay,
You're
we
using
jumped
an
right
integrated
in.
terminal, it looks like, as well.
Yep, and
is that through a plugin, or is that just part of Atom now?
it's through Atom.
Okay.
All through Atom, one of the packages you can install, using mainly Python 3, because I think, I don't know, we're a little bit more comfortable with Python 3, but do you have a sense of when you personally use Python 2 versus Python 3?
I don't use Python 2
You never
ever
use it.
anymore.
Yeah, you just have it.
I switched to Python 3 completely in 2016 when we made the switch to Python.
Yeah, okay.
And mostly, I think it was like format strings were like the one piece where I was like, I really can't deal with not having these anymore.
Yeah, let me try. Okay.
Sorry, we have some other comments there. edX course for Mandarin says JP Guy. Oh yeah, did I miss saying hi to JP Guy when he came in? I don't remember. I saw JP Guy waving. Says who's today's guest? Oh no, yeah, we said who's today's guest. Yeah, JP Guy's a regular. So good to have JP.
I think I remember it.
Oh,
somewhere.
Rahul says try Hindi.
Yeah.
Hindi is also a huge language. Population of India. It's massive, right?
We just saw it. Yeah.
It's on this list. Number 4. Yeah, number 4. Yeah, that would be a great endeavor as well. So we should think about doing that.
What's the format for Python 2?
It was.
I know
it's
something horrible
string
with the
format.
The
so
percent.
You would do something. Yeah. So you would do the percent. So type in. Or I'll write it here, and then you can sort of replicate it. So Python. If I do this, so you would do something like Veronica, and then you would have an S like that in the string, right? And then you would.
Oh, there's like the percent sign or something.
Yeah, just like that, right?
Oh, that's horrible. Yeah.
So you could do. You wouldn't do string.format though. So string.format. It was so the dot format is a function on string objects.
Perfect. So it's in the interpreter, so
yeah,
you can
so
go
you
directly.
You could do just a string literal that says Veronica %s, right? So this is a sort of a
placeholder.
template. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then you would do the percent sign, and then you would do the argument to that. So newbie boy, thank you for the follow. And then you would pass in the argument and exactly get the string sort of templatized, or I guess populated with the template gets populated with the argument, and then that is your completed string.
Interesting. Yeah, it's always like a weird, there's always like a sense of like, is it important to know earlier versions of languages?
If you have to do backporting, or not backporting, but if you have to deal with legacy code, I would say that's probably the main use case.
Ooh, legacy code, you mean like code remnant?
Yeah, so let's say CS50 has a major app that would be just a pain to add features to, but it was written in Python 2.7. And now you have to go and make changes to it. So it actually helps you to try to know sort of how Python 2's
has evolved.
String templating worked back in 2.7. And then even in 3, you would do something like Veronica, and then it was something weird. It was like this, and then you do .format, and then in there you would actually pass in your arguments.
Wait, so this is Python what though?
This is I believe this was in Python 2 and
Still
3.
Python?
I think it was
like
something,
a transitionary
Python string format. I'm just verifying exactly when they released it. I think it was 2 and 3 because this was this like was in Python 3 before format strings came out.
Okay, so that does seem to.
And you would pass in these empty sort of brackets that you could populate with format specifiers. You could say like 0.2f or whatever to say, oh, I want this to be rounded or displayed to 2 decimal points or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you would pass in whatever arguments in variable length within the format function itself. And you just call that on any string because it's a string. It's part of the string class. So any string object has that function. So any literal string has that format function, which is pretty cool.
Very cool. Yeah.
So this is the legacy version. So obviously now you can appreciate why the F strings are so much cleaner.
It's a little clearer. Yeah. Wow.
When this first came out in Python 3.6, I was I tried my hardest to get David on board with it, and he resisted at first.
Really?
But he came around, and I think now he's very very warm towards the F string paradigm. Let's make sure that I didn't miss any comments here. We didn't miss any comments here. Chekhov is what Keith SH says. So Keith, thank you for joining us. I don't mean to be rude. Can we get to Python, says Scotty?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry. No, we just started now. But let's make sure.
Try to learn Russian.
It's complicated for me. Try Hindi. It's an easy one. Tell the interpreter to print a string by explicitly declaring %, says Rahul. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then so Bavik has a suggestion there So he's got a string. He's got a. You could do it the same way. You could specify a list.
Okay.
Right. So what Bavik did is he specified a list called L, which gets 3 different arguments. This is and then CS50 TV. All separate ones there.
Okay. I think I want spaces actually.
Oh yeah. Well, no, because I think what it does is you put spaces in the literal that you format, the template that you format. So this is another way that you can use format strings using the older paradigm. So using also argument unpacking, which we'll see. So you can So then you have the template there.
Can we do that?
We have exactly. So you have three of those placeholders, right, in the string. Dot format, you're calling dot format on the string object, and then you're passing in using the star operator, which unpacks arguments. So you have a list of arguments, you can unpack them into a function, and it will put them in separated by commas, basically. And then just like that, then you get, this is CS50 TV. So thank you, Bavik, for that.
That's very cool.
Bavik also says F strings are the coolest. So that's multiple things.
Okay,
so using
coolest.
legacy format template with the dot format function, but also argument unpacking, which you can see here is super nice. So you can programmatically assemble a list of arguments if you know that your function is what's the word for it? Variadic. So meaning that it can take multiple arguments. Variadic functions. And so in this case, if you have a variadic function, you can assemble your list programmatically or through some meaning, or through some through some function or through some code, and then pass it in with unpacking.
Oh, that's very cool.
Cool.
Okay.
So thanks,
awesome.
Bavik. Thanks, appreciate that.
Yeah,
that's pretty advanced, says JP Guy. A little bit, but it's not too advanced,
All
right?
stuff you can do.
Yeah. There's simple pieces we're putting together. We have lists. So the list is, I guess we didn't really talk about what lists are. Variadic, with a D. There we go. Nice. And then there might be a slight, because this variadic is something you see in functional programming, there might be a slight connotation that's specific to functional programming, but it's the idea that you have multiple arguments. And then so the list is, you get like a list. I guess we should show some of the different data structures in Python. That would be something worth doing.
Okay.
I'll have to check if C# has something similar, says JP Guy. I'm not familiar offhand with the string, because in C# you can add strings together with plus. Which is what you
concatenation.
Can do. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
String
we
concatenation.
Can do that in Python.
Yeah, exactly. Java lets you do that too. C++ and C do not let you do that. You actually have to use functions to assemble strings. C makes life a little bit trickier. But I don't know if there are any other fancy functions that take multiple arguments like that in C#. Scotty says, Cole, would you consider working as a software engineer at somewhere like Google or Facebook?
Are you a recruiter?
I would consider it. It would be I feel like that would be very difficult and very stressful. It depends on what the project is, I think. Try a star-like pattern of your string, please, says Rahul.
A star-like pattern, like to print.
Could you elaborate on what you mean with that, Rahul?
I assume you mean like I'm sure there's a way that we can print out like a smiley face if we print out, enough rows that are formatted in a special
like ASCII
way.
art type thing?
Yeah. Off the top of my head, I can't think of a pattern that will produce like a super fun one, but we can,
I think you might be referring to the argument unpacking that we demonstrated earlier with the asterisk.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what he's referring to.
Let's see.
Oh, Andre says C++ doesn't let you concatenate strings with plus. The standard string is actually also mutable, so you can plus equal stuff to attach them at the end of the string.
Cool.
So they've it's called using operator overloading, meaning that they've defined new behavior for plus. You can actually concatenate the std string, from the standard library, the string object. You can actually concatenate those. So that's I am recalling that. I think contrasting that with string literals, which are, I believe, underneath the hood just just char stars. Just like they are in C.
Just like they are in C.
So that's what I'm getting it confused.
Interesting.
Looks like Adam Fighter has another suggestion. So person equals. This is a perfect segue into we were going to talk about different data structures in Python.
Okay, wonderful.
So lists. Why don't we talk about like maybe some like a list, for example? We saw lists earlier.
I'm just going to create a list.
And you have some stuff that we're going to look at in a while that actually uses lists.
We're going to bring in a couple different data structures and sort of see how we can do some fun manipulation of data, which will be exciting. So what are some things that you know about lists? Let's talk about lists. So one important thing about lists is that they have order. What does it mean for a list to have order? Well, it means that we can index and sort of find specific elements in a list based on their position within the list.
Just like arrays in C?
Just like arrays in C. Yes, that's a great way to think about it. So here I'll create a list of colleges. I'll create a list of colors.
There you go.
Purple, orange. These are all my least favorite colors.
All the ones with the hardest rhyming, too.
True. Yeah, anytime I don't like something, I try to like it. I think it's easier to like everything. So what's another color I don't like that much? Periwinkle. Is that what you call periwinkle?
Is that like a weird blue? Am I getting that
Periwinkle's,
right?
It's like lavender. Periwinkle.
Okay, yeah.
And then like
what am I getting it confused with?
Mustard.
Oh, this is it. Oh, it's like
no.
cornflower blue. That's what periwinkle is, I think.
Cornflower blue.
I think so. See, here we go. Here's a picture of it. I'll let you contrast it. Periwinkle and then cornflower blue. Like basically the same color, right?
They're basically the same color.
So fun fact, periwinkle and cornflower blue are the same. That's another cool thing, not in Python, but it's a cool thing,
cool.
right?
That's cool.
Cool piece of information. Yeah. So you have a list. Okay.
Pretty straightforward list. We've just printed it. Nothing
you can print
crazy.
the list. So this is something you wouldn't be able to do in C. You wouldn't be able to just take an array and say print this array.
Yeah, no.
It would.
No.
I think it would just literally print the memory address that you of the array for where the array pointer is.
Sorry, yeah. Of the first one. Yeah, and then which is great. We can just sort of print it directly. This is okay. Arrays in C are a fixed length. Can we go back to the comments real quick?
Oh, userman, yeah. No, yeah.
More of a homologous like
they
structure.
are not comparable in the same sense where they're fixed in size. Lists do expand. Lists are more like linked
dynamic.
lists.
That's a better.
But the indexing part of it is more of what we're getting at, where they have a fixed order and you know where the elements are, as opposed to something like a dictionary in Python
or a set, which are unordered data structures.
Exactly.
And we'll get into those in a bit. But ordering is like this really incredible power, kind of like a superpower. Yeah, when you have something that's ordered, all of a sudden you can directly go and access like a specific element, right? Without having to like search through to find it. You know what I mean?
Which would be O of n time, right? Because then you're going through your entire list.
Exactly.
O of n being the complexity of the operation of going through a list, actually searching through it. So that'd be called linear search.
For sure.
Which is not usually the most efficient way of searching for something. And instead of a million integers, if your worst case is a million cycles of your algorithm, not ideal.
Is it Halloween? Because linear time complexity is spooky.
Oh wow, there we go.
No, but a metaphor I usually use in this time is sort of like, let's say I said, hey, would you please go get this book from the library? And I give you its like Dewey Decimal number. You know exactly where to go. You go and you're like, okay, boom, I know exactly what section I need to go to. You know exactly where that book is going to be, and you can be in and out of the library in 2 minutes. Now, if I say, hey, please find this book, and I just give you a title, and this is a library that has no order, all the books are just sort of jumbled up, you'd have to go through, each book one by one and look and try to find the book I'm asking for, which would be such a mess. So
worst library
of all time. Yeah, that's a scary library. So again, order can be really powerful, being able to index into a data structure.
Userman says, fun fact, there is an order dict in collections module. Yes, that is
That's
correct.
Cool, yeah.
And also another fun fact, as of Python 3.6, is it 3.6.5? I'm not sure. Dictionaries are ordered just by default, regular dictionaries.
Right.
So what I said was not entirely true.
Fair.
The dictionaries typically are not ordered because they're hashed, so everything is kind of algorithmically placed in an optimal way. But Python, as of 3.6 point something,
interesting.
By default, your dictionaries are sorted. So when you print your dictionary, you'll see everything in the order at which you inserted it.
Question. So
not sorted. Sorry, ordered based on when you inserted the elements.
Question. Does that have anything to do with alignment?
What do you mean?
So I'm thinking, now that I'm taking a systems programming class, a lot of what we think about is like how to make what we're storing in memory like as efficient as possible. And one of the really cool things that we are always thinking about is this idea of alignment. So an int is, how big is an int? Do you know how big
4
it
bytes
is?
typically, so
Yeah.
32 bits.
Okay, yeah, it depends on your processor.
It does depend on your processor. On modern machines, typically,
typically
4 bytes.
But okay, so like let's say I had a struct that was like maybe an int and then like 3 individual characters, right? So a character is 1 byte long and int's 4 bytes long. So if you asked me sort of like how big is that struct, you might say 7 bytes, but in fact it's actually 8 bytes.
8 bytes, yeah.
Because we sort of have this like a little bit of like padding that's called, that sort of like lets us align stuff. And essentially the reason that alignment matters is that it's easier for the computer to deal with, set chunks of data. So for instance, there's this like fun tangent. If we had a situation where we had a char, a character, followed by an int, and then maybe followed by a character, depending on whether or not you're running your compiler with an optimizer, the size of that struct is going to be either 12 or 8 bytes. Any idea about why that might be?
For a struct, that's 7 bytes of actual data?
So I'll try to just sort of draw out what we're talking about so we don't remember. So again, this is currently in a Python file. This is a bit of a tangent, but this would be in like C++, for instance. So let's say I had like a struct, just pseudocoding here, struct of like 1 int, right, which is 4 bytes. And then I wanted to also store like 2 chars, right, which are 1 byte each. If I ordered my struct, and this we'll loop back in a second to the ordering of a dictionary, but if I ordered this struct in this way, like struct where it was like my char, then an int, then a char, in theory, this would be 12 bytes because essentially our compiler is going to, if we run it, our compiler is going to try to sort of like chunk it out in chunks of 4 bytes to make accessing that data faster. But this is a bit of a tangent. The reason I brought this up is that you mentioned that dictionaries are now ordered by default.
Yes.
So I was just thinking if that's sort of like a user side choice or if it's an efficiency side choice.
That's a good question. There was a talk that Raymond Hedinger, who's one of the lead Python engineers, he gave about it. I don't recall if he made mention of whether it was for optimization purposes.
Because I think that would be, it depends on how your compiler's interpreting it, but I think my sense is that would be actually like less memory efficient.
Yeah, I think it would.
Because you would want to sort of group elements in a dictionary together in a way to minimize memory.
Yeah.
Space.
I'm not sure.
Total
tangent. Not 100% sure.
But alignment is interesting.
The alignment makes sense because the CPU is most efficient at loading its word size. So, or I guess in a 64-bit machines have a word size of 64. So it's not entirely. That's not. I have to see why we typically still use 32-bit ints in that case.
Interesting. Yeah.
But yeah, if it's more efficient for the computer to load a character as a 32-bit, as a word, rather than as a, I guess would it be a nibble? I don't know what it would be. It would be a small chunk of that, because then it has to like take that information out of the 32 bits that it normally would have.
A metaphor I like to use for this is like let's say I give you a box and I'm like, hey, can you go into my room and grab like this list of things? If you put like it would be weird for you to, if I gave you like a giant box, go and like put a pencil in that box, right? That seems like a lot of extra room, right? So generally, your computer wants to be as efficient as possible. So if I go and ask for just a pencil, I'd give you like a really, really small box. But if I start like asking for more things, there's sort of like a way to pick the right size box so that you would be able to bring everything back. This is getting a little bit weird, but okay, last thing on this. So let's say you had a cart where you're putting boxes. It would be a little bit weird if you had like a cart with like 12 different sized boxes, right? Like the cart would sort of, you'd have like, one giant box on one end of the cart and then sort of like a weird teetering pile of like smaller boxes, right? If instead you had all the boxes of the same size and they were of a size big enough to fit the largest element, then your cart would be like a lot more stable and loading and unloading it would be a lot easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, big picture thing there was just the idea of alignment, which is a little bit more low level. We don't really have to think about things like this with Python. This would be something you'd be looking at more if you
The engineers of
did
Python
systems programming. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
no, it's super
that's a
cool.
fun
It's
thing.
super cool diving into like CPU level stuff.
Yeah,
like
and
that.
again, just interesting about order of dictionaries. So that would affect alignment. Interesting. Okay, cool. Moving on. I think we may have missed a couple comments.
We missed a few a little
Yeah,
bit.
let's
Let's
see
keep up
if
with the
there's-
chat here a little bit. So, rename stream to Tangents with Veronica's as JP guy. Yeah, that's where the fun
yeah.
lies. Do you have any beginner Python projects you can recommend?
Ooh, beginner project. Okay, yes, I do. Okay, so here are my tips. So Python is so cool because it lets you do all these things like really easily. Like I started programming in C, and there's just so much more that you have to do with C in terms of syntax and like research versus Python. Once you realize that you can sort of like abstract away and like just go crazy and do a bunch of things, you realize like it's super easy to write short programs that can be really, really useful. So for instance, I have an example of this. Recently, I was trying to buy like a friendship bracelet with one of my friends, and we were like debating like what message to get engraved on the friendship bracelet. And there was like a weird like limit of characters, and I sort of went online and I was like character counter or something. And I would like write different messages and then like put them in the character counter, click like count my characters, and then I'd output like the number of characters. And then I was like, this is so annoying. There's got to be like a cooler way to do this. And like, there is with Python. So for instance, let's say I'm just gonna create a string called like engrave me, and I'm gonna say like, hey, this is cute, happy, we're friends, and this will be on a friendship.
That's a long friendship bracelet.
It is. Okay, and then cool thing I can do is I can just directly engrave me, and this will.
Please continue.
And that'll tell me the length of the number of characters in the string. Okay, so the length function, len, the length function, is actually super, super cool. So if you give it a string,
It's supposed to be kid friendly.
if you give it a string, okay, so if you give it a string, the length function will return the number of characters in the string. But if we give it something else, like a list, it'll give us back the number of elements in the list. Or
Tying us back to
lists. So again, with that list we had before, purple, orange, periwinkle, mustard.
It was just an anonymous list, I think. I don't think you assigned it, did you?
Yeah, X.
Okay, that's okay.
This should work.
Oh, did you? What did you assign it to X?
Yeah,
Oh,
the list.
Oh, okay.
So if you recall, again, our list from before.
Oh, I see. I was
this
looking
list
at
of-
this line. I wasn't looking at that line.
No. So
That's
we had
my
this
bad.
really cool list, right, of Veronica's least favorite colors.
I thought they were
and-
your most favorite colors.
No,
Those are your
least favorite.
Oh, okay.
Least favorite. Oh my
Okay.
gosh,
I
my
was gonna
favorite
say
colors
I
are.
don't think I've ever seen you wear any of those colors at all.
No. My favorite colors are silver, black, blue, pink.
To be fair, your nails are periwinkle
Red.
right now.
Yes. I would prefer to say that they are the color of the Argentine flag. Well, this is really far. No one can really see this, but whatever.
Oh, is it? I'm actually not sure what the Argentinian flag looks like. That's my bad. I apologize. Oh, it is. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
Because we had an important game recently.
It's being really slow for some reason.
The Copa Libertadores. I don't know if anyone's a soccer fan, but
It's close. It's very close.
oh my gosh, it's super close. It's as close as you can get with nail polish. And yeah, no, so I was just trying to be spirited. Okay, but again, back to this. So cool thing about Python is that the length function is super versatile. So again, we just saw a situation where I gave it a string and length outputted the number of characters in the string. And then there's another situation, right, where we gave it a list and it printed out the number of elements in the list.
Yeah, and this has a name. This is
it
called
not the
like
length
Python
function?
Universal.
Python Universal.
Universal. What is it? Python Universal Functions. There's a specific name for it. Crap. I need to figure this out. Python lang function. There's basically a set of functions. So length is one of them.
Yep.
Len is one of them. But there are a bunch of other ones that you can you implement in the class of that object.
Okay.
A function with double underscores.
Yeah.
In this case, it'd be length, and that you define the behavior of that function when you call len on that data structure.
Yep.
So if I had a function called, if I had an object called Veronica, and I want to say I guess the length of what a Veronica. That's a bad example. If I had a maybe I have a shirt class, for example.
Sure.
And when I call the len function on that shirt object, it gives me the length from top to bottom in centimeters of that shirt. But it wouldn't know otherwise if I didn't say that. Length, it would probably give me some, it'd probably give me the size in bytes or something.
Yeah,
I'm not actually
of the
sure
struct,
what
yeah.
it does. But you basically override what the len function does
That's
on
pretty
your
cool,
class.
actually. Wow.
And there's a specific name for what that is because there's a set of functions.
Okay. And you're thinking Python universal, built-in, well.
I forget. You use it with meta table, or not meta table. Was it meta tables? The meta class of that object. So defining these sort of hidden functions that give objects behavior, and all of the core data structures in Python, from dictionaries to sets to lists, all implement these functions.
That's exciting.
And it's a good paradigm to follow if you're implementing your own classes and you want this Pythonic behavior.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's absolutely essential to sort of take that into consideration.
For sure. Yeah. So again, back to the main question that someone asked. I forget who you were, but thank you for asking this. Sort of, how do I get into like basic Python? This is a really great situation where you're gonna have like all these like tiny things in your life that you're just like, the way I'm doing it could be better, okay? So I sort of divide my like personal CS projects into two categories. So I have the very like small projects where it's like, this is something I need right now that I am currently sort of doing in a way that's like annoying or long. Again, like having to go to a website that counts the number of characters, that was crazy. So it's much better to just be like, okay, I can, using the tools I have, sort of, write a short, simple program that will do this for me. So that's like one side of CS projects, and then I have my sort of like other more complicated ones that I'm always trying to, I'm like, like my Spotify could be better. Like, let me go read on, Spotify's API and try to figure out like a way I could modify it.
Hack into it.
Well, not even hack into it, but sort of like, maybe build a web app or, something that could, like, another tangent. Like I organize my, this is going to be interesting because I'm curious what you're going to think about this. I like to organize my songs by beats per minute because I find that makes the transition between songs much smoother.
You sound like a true DJ. budding DJ, programmatic DJ.
Programmatic DJ. So I have like a folder that's like goes through in like 5 beat per minute like chunks. And then I listen to all those playlists, but I, at some point, probably over break, want to just write some program that will organize it for me because it's a pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
do you ever do any like small projects just to improve your own life?
All the time, but I don't know about improve my own life. If I ever find something I need to automate, definitely Python's like my go-to language for that.
Okay.
I do most of my hobbyist programming is in games, I think. So I don't do a lot of like life improvement.
And you just do games that you
mostly,
think would be cool.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mostly learning new stuff and dabbling with stuff, but not not a lot of life automation stuff. If I do need to do some calculation or something, and it would be a pain to like use a calculator, or I need to analyze like a good amount of data, I'll use Python for it. So.
Oh, that's great.
And it kind of varies on a case-by-case basis.
Interesting.
Somebody, Adam Fighter, laughed at your joke. He said the Halloween because time complexity is spooky. He said that was corny. I think we.
Was it corny? Is a strong word.
Is candy corny? Ooh. That's the bad library, Userman 2. Rahul, Big O of N. Wait, no, somebody else said it. It was Bavik Knight. To clarify, search and Python lists are O of N. Yes, the search is. I was referring to the indexing. I might have misspoke.
Yeah,
indexing would be O of 1. But the O of N would be.
Yes.
Actually, is it O of 1 indexing in Python? I think it is.
I think so. Yeah. I think that's where the order comes in.
Do you guys have any beginner Python projects? We looked at that. Console calculator and a basic turn-based fighter, says Userman.
What's basic turn-based fighter?
Those are two very different. So when I think of turn-based fighter, I guess like a Final Fantasy, like a RPG type system,
RPG.
which would be like a fantasy
Rotations
game,
per-
kind of like a role-playing game.
Role-playing game.
So like yeah,
like One Night.
kind of. That's more of like a story-based role-playing game. But
Okay.
in this case, it would be like you have a group of people that have ability to like attack another group of people. I guess like a party of like fighters versus like monsters or whatever. And then you
Like
take
Mafia?
turns. No, that's more like a deliberation game.
Okay.
So this would be like like you can either attack, use a magic spell, or use an item. And turn
Dungeons
by turn.
and Dragons?
Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
the sort of the beginning of what RPGs are. But that's what he's referring to, a basic turn-based fighter. But then console calculator, I would say, is probably much easier than a turn-based fighter to implement. That might be a good initial project to start off with.
That's cool.
Typically, a C or C++ compiler will make a struct with an int char and another int larger than if you put the two ints first because of alignment, says Andre.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, compiler will make a struct with an int char and another int larger. Yeah.
GX2G, sup guys? Heck yeah, Python. Sup GX2G, good to have you. She knows what she's talking about, says Adam Fighter. Sexy C50 says Nikolai. Adam
You really
Fighter.
just read everything.
I shouldn't. I mean, that wasn't a bad comment. That was somewhat PG, but it's debatable. Python is built on C. Yeah, Adam Fighter. Yep, Python is built on C. So C, the libraries are compiled, and then we can reference those libraries sort of after the fact. Less memory efficient, but the modern computers will have 32 and 64-bit registers and processors, says Andre.
We'll have 30-bit, that sounds right, yeah.
Where is our professor, the Dark Lord, says GX2G.
Do people call Malin the Dark Lord?
They've called him the Master Jedi. I guess now that's the Dark Lord.
Why now?
It's kind of, I don't know, it's a little bit ominous, I think.
Yeah, the Dark
sure.
Lord. I mean,
I'm
he
not
has
sure.
dark
I think it's sort of
but-
evolving. It's sort of becoming like Master Jedi, and now he's turned to the dark side, and now he's the Dark Lord.
Wow.
It's kind of this evolution.
So that would be, what's his name?
Like Anakin Skywalker?
No.
Darth Vader?
Darth Vader.
Yeah.
I was going to say Voldemort.
Voldemort. Hey, same idea. Same idea. Some programs or software still need 32-bit out of 64. Yeah, some applications are still 32-bit.
Yeah.
President Mars, how is a dictionary automatically indexed? What's the syntax? Why don't we talk about dictionaries, actually?
Sure,
Because we talked about lists, and that, I guess dictionaries are kind of like the natural next step.
One last thing I want to say about lists.
Oh, yeah.
So this is super cool. So this is also like not very intuitive, and this is not something that we can do in C. So in Python, we can have a list of elements of different types.
Oh,
which
true.
is super,
true.
yeah, so super important to remember. And like I think it's like cool to sort of remember that lists are really, really flexible, and there's so much you can do with them. Okay, awesome. I will do, I don't know. It's hard to get inspiration. Well, there's like not that much like going on in the rest of the room. So I'm trying, okay, football.
A lot of shirts. Oh, yeah.
Football, just trying to think of
Searching for words.
Inspiration. 7, which is my favorite number. And then let's do...
Lucky number 7?
6 point. Is that a thing? Like gambling?
Yeah, lucky number 7.
I do gamble.
And then pi?
I don't know. What do you know the extra digits?
I don't know the extra digits.
That
of
is
pi.
lame. Okay, wow.
It is, yeah.
That's a cool thing to memorize.
There we go. Close
and
enough.
I'll say, yo.
Beautiful.
You'll see indeed that they've maintained not only their types, but also their orders. Nothing crazy here. Cool. Now let's talk about dictionaries. So when do you want to use dictionaries? Well, let's think about dictionaries as a way to group related data. Okay? So not exactly like a row in a data table necessarily, but let's say I had a dictionary. Okay, actually, let's even take one step back and like talk very, very basic. What are sort of the building blocks of a dictionary? So a dictionary is going to have what are called key value pairs. Okay, so I can build a very basic dictionary. Do you have give me like a word? I feel like this is like improv.
We could do CS. People in CS50 maybe.
Ooh, that's a good one. Okay, cool. Let's do it. So let's go ahead and do what do I call this? Okay, I'll do like staff, and I'm actually gonna do I think a list of dictionaries just to make it easier. Okay.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I'll say name.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Aaron, and then I'll say age.
I think she's 24, 25.
4.
I don't remember.
Okay, cool. And I'll say.
Oh.
Nope. Yeah. So again, what we're doing here is we are going to create a list of dictionaries where we have 2 key value pairs where the first pair is name, and then sort of, again, name being the key, and then whatever that person's name is being the value, and then, again, age and 24. Oh, wow, I misread Userman's comment. Gonna keep going. Okay, cool. Colton, how old are you?
I am 27.
Dun, dun, dun.
Also, I forgot to read off.
Yeah, read off a
BuzzBuddy77 has followed, and Bishak has followed. So
Ooh,
thank you
that's
very
exciting.
much for following.
You said 27?
Yeah, 27.
Awesome.
Bishak,
I'll
I
say-
gotta get this down a little bit.
Get what done?
This slider, so I can read the other people that joined. Tech Entertainer has followed. Thank you, Tech Entertainer. And then Adam Fighter 10101, Newbie Boy, and Zedimus, which you read earlier. So thank you, everybody who's followed.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I've hit
19,
17.
Wow. 17?
I am
is-
not
yeah.
17.
No.
I'm almost 20. My birthday's on Friday.
Are you excited? Oh, it's on Friday.
Yeah.
Whoa. Well, happy early
Isn't that
birthday.
exciting?
That is exciting. 20, that's like, you're out of your teens finally. I remember when I turned 20, I was like, damn, new chapter. I'm close to 30. I'm 27. I've got.
Do you feel close to 30?
I don't feel close to 30.
You think you don't look close to 30?
People typically think that I'm like 22, 23.
Yep.
Which is, I'll take it. I'm very
If
happy
anyone
about it.
if anyone wants to share what they thought Colton's age was, I'd be curious.
Oh,
Or
man.
what my age was. I always ask people that. I'm like, ooh, like,
Yeah, I mean, I
How
would
old
say
would you have
19 or
guessed?
20, yeah.
okay, wow.
What do people guess for you typically? I would not guess 17.
So one time I was in an airport and they didn't want to let me go through like the full body scanner because they thought I was like 16 or under. There's like some cutoff, at
This
least
is
in
recently.
Argentina.
This is recently.
Yeah, like last year. And they were like, oh no, you can't go through there. And I was like, why? And they're like, you have to be 18. And I'm like, I was like, I'm 18 because at the time I was 18. And then I also pass as older.
So it's
When I
like, it
need
kind of
to, yeah.
varies? Interesting, okay.
I think most people would say anywhere from 18 to 24.
I feel like there's not a lot of change that happens during that time frame too for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I feel like you reach like your maturation, your growth at like 17, 18 typically
Yeah,
for a lot of people.
yeah.
And then for me, it was kind of like 21, 22
Okay,
is when,
yeah.
when that happened for me, I think. Actually, no, I think 20. I think I don't know, I made changes throughout my early adulthood. But I think for a lot of people, it kind of stabilizes at a certain point, and then there's not a lot of change between that range of ages, right?
Interesting. Yeah.
I don't know. That's an
guess.
observation I've made. I could be wrong. I think it changes for everybody. It's variable for people.
Huh. But yeah, no, so that's exciting. Okay, what are these?
Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
that's for President.
Moving Bitcoin's got to be the fastest way to achieve maximum stress level.
What do you mean? Oh, like just
I've
in
never done
general?
that, but I think
Have you had a-
Nick is going to show
I was
us how
gonna
to
say,
do
have you
Bitcoin.
had a Bitcoin person come on?
No, Nick wants to do a stream on Bitcoin mining,
Oh my goodness.
which I think would be super cool.
I'm
Because I actually
gonna
don't know
tune
anything
on
about
that
it.
one for sure. I know nothing about it either. That's definitely.
President
that's
Mars
for-
says Dick
Hey,
Key. Thanks for getting Key.
we
if
have a
that's what you
surprise
mean.
guest.
Oh yeah, surprise guest again.
Dark
Once again,
Lord.
everybody, so you were referred to as the Dark Lord today.
Oh, really? I just heard you were talking about ages, and I was thinking in overflow jokes are now opportune.
I get because someone called you the Master Jedi. I
Okay.
forget who called you the Master Jedi. I know you're the Dark Lord, so you're the sort of trajectory of Darth Vader at this point.
Oh, that's great.
He-
Thanks.
he-
Hi,
he
everyone.
He has a redemption phase at the end of the bell curve.
Oh, okay. Well, anyhow, I don't want to interrupt. Just wanted to say hello to everyone, but we'll see you all online in the chat room next.
Cool.
Oh, that's exciting.
Are you gonna pop into the chat?
Did you have one?
Yeah, I have it open now. I've been lurking, so now I'll chime in.
Oh,
too.
that's
that's
exciting.
a little creepy.
Yay,
Bye.
good.
See ya.
Bye. Surprise guest.
Always a pleasure having a surprise guest. Thanks for getting Key, if that's what you mean. Have to define as usual, right? Okay, they're having a side conversation
Okay,
there.
fine.
President Morris specified, so he sort of, before we started getting into dictionaries, he
Okay,
specified
yeah.
that. Made a script that downloads a DLL zip file, says Userman 2. Unzips some DLLs, then deletes the zip file. I love Python for utility stuff.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's excellent. It's sort of like almost like a make
That's
clean
so cool.
process.
Wow.
Yeah, it can be super tedious to do all that stuff by hand. Yeah, that's a perfect example. Dict1 just calls spam.
Yeah.
It'd be Dict spam. Spam is the key
Exactly,
to the value.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Sure, thanks, blah, blah, blah. Sterling, says Nikolai from C++.
Yes.
Sterling is, yeah, that's
Sterling's
not as, I guess it's almost kind of like Lin in Python.
Yeah, it is kind of Lin. Yeah. I was gonna say I
It's
like
not terrible.
Sterling. Yeah.
Stay peaceful for the kids. You would need to convert the dict items to a list to do
I think
one
they're
or
still referring to the-
zero.
previous one.
Oh, yeah, it says using that too, for the 1 or 0.
Nice to see people sort of collaborating, helping each other get
we got
through
side
this
combos. We got
together.
side conversations. Gouliash74, thanks for being a part of the chat. Rahul, still usually use C++. Yes, Rahul, that's correct. Now I get what automatic refers to. This is, I think to automation. For doing things automatically, I'm guessing. In C, memory is like a block of uncut American cheese. With respects to data structures, an array is American cheese sliced in equal widths.
Interesting.
A struct is like an American cheese block sliced in unequal widths, so memory relates to data structures. But structs are technically chopped in the size that they can maximally hold. Isn't that correct?
So it depends on the compiler.
Right, okay, so some compilers will optimize it so that if they know in advance that a struct is only going to contain a subset of the bits that it can contain, it'll cut it, it'll truncate it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. It's good to know. Nikolai, this be some heavy CS stuff. Yep.
Yeah, but actually, on that one tiny funny note about optimizers, so there's this, are you ever going to do an assembly language?
I've thought about it. I would have to spend a lot, if I was going to do it, I'd spend a lot of time reading up on it and getting comfortable with it. But if somebody who knows assembly wanted to do it, I could probably conversationally.
I know some.
We could maybe do an assembly stream if you want to do that.
No, yeah, assembly is pretty cool. So essentially, like when you compile a C file, you can sort of do it in a way that you produce the assembly file, and then you can go in, and it's usually like .asm, and you can essentially see what the actual instructions are being passed in, right? So when we look at code that's like C code or Python, it's made in a way that a person can sort of read it and understand. But there's a lot of things that sort of fall away when we are, compiling, right? When we're sort of going down all the way to binary. And it's really interesting if you look at an assembly file to be like, wow, what has my, compiler realized was not really important? In this like translation process, and there's all this like really cool stuff. So for instance, like if you write a for loop that's like, okay, so like let's say, it's tough to, okay, let's pretend I had a variable that I initialized to 0, so an int that I initialized to 0, and then I had a for loop that we went through the for loop like 100 times, increasing it by 1 every time, and then printing that result, right? So in the assembly instructions, if you've compiled your program with an optimizer, your computer would be like, oh, wow, we don't need this for loop. I can see that you're just really changing an int from a starting value of 0 to a starting value of, I forget what I said before, but like
100.
Let's just say 100, yeah. And it'll just directly say like print 100.
Oh yeah, just
which is so
turn the variables into literals.
So, exactly. Exactly. So it'll just sort of like, it'll squish steps together that don't have to be there. So there's like all this cool work that you can sort of write a really efficient program, but then a really good optimizer is still gonna cut a bunch of it out. It's really funny.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's super interesting.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen that. I was watching some CPP-Con videos recently, which is like a big event where they have a lot of like pretty
CPP
hardcore stuff. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of these like cons and
like
shows.
Comic-Con type
but they do it for
thing?
C++. It's pretty cool. And they do this guy did a deep dive into debugging his C++ program and going into the assembly.
With like GDB or,
Yeah, with GDB, exactly.
Yeah,
it was pretty cool.
That's cool. Yeah, debugging. Yeah, okay. So again, there's like all these different steps, right, of translation. And it's really interesting because it can actually be way harder than you think to go like from assembly and like work your way backwards. Like we had a lot of this in this class where we're sort of like, we're given assembly, an assembly file, and we're asked like what C code might produce this. And, there's usually like a bunch of different answers because it's not like deterministic, right? I could write a ton of different programs that would be might produce the same assembly file, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But that's systems programming.
Yeah. It makes sense. I mean, you're going down to a smaller subset of possible commands too. So there's only a certain smaller number of ways you can do something, right?
Yeah.
Veronica wearing least favorite colored nails. Classes can also have custom length values by adding def length self to the class. Yes,
that's what you were talking
exactly
about.
what we were talking about before. Yeah, the meta, what is it called? The meta class of that object. Is it? I think it's the meta class, where you can define. There's a term for it, and I don't know what the term is for it. I read it in a book where this interface, this Python interface for all these functions. But yes, exactly what we were talking about. Dunderbar says Adam Fight. I know it's an example. Having a shirt as a height property would be better there since length would be ambiguous as to what it was. Correct. Yep. Exactly. I was just reaching for. I looked to my left and there's shirts hanging on the wall here, just looking for a desperate analogy to fit that example. But hello world is APS night. JP guys got good the PogChamp.
What's PogChamp?
It's like this guy named Gutex, who's like a famous fighting game person, and he in a video he made this face, and it's become a meme on Twitch.
Wow.
There's a lot of these. There's a lot of these memes. A lot of these.
I'm gonna have to explore them.
Yeah, there's a lot. I don't know a lot of them, like Forehead and LOL and PogChamp. Like they all have an origin somewhere. Kappa is a really famous one, like a sarcastic face.
Can you make custom ones?
Yeah,
like,
you can.
Do you have one?
So when we become an affiliate, we get to put custom ones. I want to have David tearing a phone book as an
funny.
As an emoji.
What would the label be?
I don't know. I have to think about that. Anybody have an idea? If anybody has ideas for that in the chat,
please share that. Yeah.
But that would be an amazing one. I do life improvement in Python projects. Not to take away anything, but can't you just use words for length? Says Redundancia1. By the way, thank you for joining us. Not to take away anything, but can't you just use words for length? I'm not entirely sure what you mean. If you can clarify that. Could you please tell briefly what short project you did recently at APS Night? Oh, you did go into that a little bit.
Yeah, I sort of talked about that.
What did I do recently? I mean, I wrote a script to automate the PDF generation for CS50's quiz.
Nice.
So that would be something that I did, but that's for work. It's not a personal project. And that's somewhat of a large project. But that's an example. Like, we have a platform online called Gradescope that we submit our quizzes to. And you can automate how you grade them. That way, a lot better than you could if you printed the quizzes out and by hand, which is how we used to do it, grade all of the quizzes, right? But you just have to carry a bunch of paper across campus. It was nasty. It was nasty. This is like 3 years ago that we were doing it like that.
I always there's always like 1,000 ways to do something.
Yeah.
And there are 3 or 4 that are the best ways.
Yeah.
So I was just trying.
If you're in Python's slogan is like there's only one perfect way to do it.
Really?
Yeah. It's like part of the Pythonic mantra or whatever. There's one best way to do it. But basically taking in all of the submissions that people did online, which were markdown files, converting those to PDFs, taking those PDFs, and then putting them together in a big PDF file, so thousands of pages, and then uploading that to Gradescope where it then gets automatically chopped up into the size of the quizzes. That's how we do. That's something that we use Python for to automate our grading process.
That's cool.
So you can use it for almost literally anything you want. Right?
How long did it take you to set that up?
The original quiz was probably a 2-day thing with a lot of testing, and I had to add to Check50 integration this year. That was troubling because my environment on my Mac was a little bit screwy with Check50.
Interesting.
So I had to Brian help. Shout out to Brian Yu. He helped me out quite a bit with that.
And Check50, for anyone that doesn't know, is the tool we use to automate grading.
Yeah.
For check the correctness of code.
I made a solver for some puzzle game, Mage Drafot, who's a regular. In Python, it's very easy to model the data and modify it than most languages. Yeah, because lists and dictionaries and whatnot are just so easy and flexible to use.
So easy, yeah.
The syntax is super clean.
Yeah.
Rotations, kappa says JP guy. We were referring to it earlier. I forgot exactly what it is, but that's the kappa emoji.
It's cool that you have inside jokes now with this community.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice.
The inside jokes is a big part of what makes it so much fun. Indexing. Oh, no, that wasn't it. Indexing is pretty much always O of 1 since you provide an index. Yeah. I'm a beast at Mafia. Stay peaceful, great game. I feel like we're so far behind in the chat. I feel like that was so long ago that we talked about all that stuff.
That was so long ago, yeah.
So XCOM series. Yep, XCOM series is great. Andre, familiar with XCOM? It's like a turn-based sort of strategic fighting game with aliens and stuff. Turn-based? So you're looking at it top down and you have a bunch of fighters that go
around. Oh, and turn-based as opposed to in real time?
Yeah, exactly.
So you could pause it, leave, come back and be at a specific turn. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Like chess.
Like chess, exactly, like chess, yeah. JP guy, do you play Town of Salem? Have you heard of Town of Salem? I have heard of it. I haven't played it. It's kind of like Mafia, but it's a game.
This is our gamer person. I feel like...
Yeah. Do you play much games? What do you do?
Interesting. Do I play? I like Sudoku.
Sudoku, okay.
I don't know if that's a game.
Yeah.
That's a game?
Yeah.
Okay, I like Sudoku, and then besides that...
Sudoku's it's a nice flexible game because it's something that you can actually play on paper too.
And play by yourself.
Yeah, play by solitaire kind of, but more sophisticated.
Yeah, I like Risk.
Oh yeah.
To play with other people.
I haven't played it much, but I'm familiar with it. It's kind of like a game called Civilization for PC.
Yeah. So it's basically you are. It's cool because it's kind of like strategy. You're trying to take over the world, but people always sort of care more about what country they want more so, or what region they want most. So
they
prioritize
a specific region.
Yeah, I'm always I want Argentina and Japan or something cool.
That's what you
and then everything else it doesn't really matter. I don't need to.
Oh, I see. You
control
start
the
off,
whole world.
at Japan, and your goal is to like get to Argentina.
Oh,
Is that what you're saying?
okay, no, that's not exactly what I'm saying. Sorry, what I'm saying is the point of Risk is world domination.
Right. Yeah.
But I have found that, like, definitely in my case, and also like when I'm playing with other people, that it ends up being like more so than world domination. People are more interested in just like colonizing, getting their hands on like a specific country that they or region that they like for other reasons that have nothing to do with the game. Sorry, that's another tangent.
Nationalism.
Yeah, so I like Risk. What else do I play? Chess. Trying to learn bridge. My mom's a big fan of bridge, and then really I don't play anything like on my phone.
There's only so much time, right?
Yeah.
Busy Harvard students don't have time to play video games anyway. I feel like that's a common theme that I've heard. Except
think-
Nick Wong does on his vacation. He was telling me he'll play games,
I learned-
but only when
yeah.
he's on vacation.
I learned to play Smash Bros.
Oh,
over the
nice.
summer.
Which one? Do you remember? There's like 5 or 6.
A recent one.
Okay, the one for Wii U, was it? Maybe?
The one that we have in the office.
I think it's the one for Wii U.
I don't think we were playing it with the Wii controllers, but maybe it's like a different.
Yeah, you can play it with
non-Wii
physical
controller.
controllers.
Okay.
Too. That one, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. Like, really cool, like different backgrounds. Okay, let's see what else.
Whenever I play lying games, I always have a hard time hiding the fact that I am the bad guy, says Userman 2.
People always think people will assume I'm the bad person.
Do you have like an evil look while you're playing the game?
That's
constantly?
interesting. I don't know, but like
just menacing.
With One Night, people always assume I'm the wolf.
You're just shady. People just think you're shady.
I think it's all the black clothing.
From Math Import Pi. Oh yeah, we could have done that. From Math Import.
yeah.
That's another thing.
Math
Why
is a good
don't
one.
you just demonstrate
Sure.
that? Since we haven't done a Python thing for a few
Sure.
minutes. From Math. Yeah, exactly. And now you can just, I think, literally just type pi.
Or just pi.
I think so, right? Yeah. And so now easy.
That is great.
Easy.
Okay.
Just pi, just like
Let me
that.
see. I think I was way off when oh my god.
While on dicts, might be a good time to show creating dictionaries using the dict constructor, where you can pass in
Interesting.
arguments like that. If you want to demonstrate that.
Sure. I think it's just.
Yeah, just dict like that, and then I think you can specify the. I forget whether you
We'll just try
need.
something.
Oh, I think it takes I think it takes multiple arguments
Oh.
in the equals format, like named arguments, right? So try it. So try it, but like name equals Veronica. I guess. Oh, in this case, it'd be a little bit dictionary. Yeah, that's fine. Age equals 10. Not 10. I'm just thinking of random things.
Yeah, go for it.
And then favorite color equals periwinkle.
She sounds
But I think those need to be strings. So Veronica needs to be a string, and so does favorite. You could just use
Do you think the key value pair does not?
I think it.
Guess we'll find out.
Yeah, because you're using symbols here. So name is a symbol, which is referring to the argument. You can use 10 as a literal because it's going to use it as a number.
Number, yeah.
And then fave color doesn't need to be. Oh, those need to be. No, those can just be names. Those can be names because those are symbols. Yeah. And then periwinkle. So I think this is how you use it. I actually very seldom ever use this syntax, but it worked. Yeah, great.
Okay,
so thanks, shout out to Userman2 for that
good.
suggestion.
Cool.
You can do that. You can also use what are called dictionary comprehensions, and we'll get into list comprehensions a little bit later.
Yeah.
But that allows you to programmatically assemble a dictionary from a collection of values that you can create a function to generate. So yeah, good suggestion there. Code reviewers would kill you if you have a list, but the variable name is not a plural word. Says Conrad Reuter. Thank you for joining us, by the way. Staff is something in the middle. If you have a list, but the variable name is not a plural word. So like entries, data points,
but
people.
staff is plural.
Yeah.
Staff
is something in the yeah. Staff is technically a singular and staff. It's a staff. Member of staff. It's a plural word. Yeah, because you would have to say member of staff if it were a single person, right? Staff can kind of be both. Happy early birthday, Scissorman2. Wow, we are so far. There's so much chat today. I love how much chat there is. Happy birthday in advance. Whoa, Colton, you're 27. You look much younger. Yeah, 27. 28 pretty soon. In February, I'll be 28. Can we please decrease the picture quality a tiny bit next time? I guess many people have internet issues, including me, so that'd be great. Yeah, Vipul, it's something that we'll be able to do as soon as we become an affiliate. Unfortunately, right now, we are not an affiliate yet. We are working on the onboarding process.
Okay.
Yes, correct. And when we become an affiliate, we should have the ability to scale our stream.
Or
we'll
give
have different-
options.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We should have like a 720 or 480 option, but at the
Is this
moment,
1080?
unfortunately, yeah, this is at 1080p.
Oh, nice.
We don't have that ability right now. I'm sorry about that, but it's something that we're definitely working on. You can visit this video on YouTube. It'll be up later, and some people might be watching this on YouTube after the fact. But yes, we will be working on that ASAP.
And YouTube obviously gives you that
Yeah.
option.
There was a time where someone nailed being a tanner in One Night Werewolf, though. Userman 2. We got werewolf players in the chat today.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
I didn't even know it was like a game that other people knew about.
Yeah, no,
That's
it's
exciting.
gotten pretty big. Apprentice Tanner, that's the one. The Apprentice Tanner. Love that. That dynamic is really cool.
That is an interesting dynamic. 'Cause
Fallen
the-
Feather 1. Hey, guys. JP Guy, DJs. Oh, this is all when David popped in the
Yeah,
chat, Master
okay.
Yoda. Let's pause the chat reading here. Let's
Yeah,
maybe
let's do it.
let's
Yeah,
dive
let's
into the
jump in.
next.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'll come back to more of it, but let's go to the next.
Sure. So let's just I'll create another fake dictionary. Unfortunately, well, 'cause I'll just print staff so we can see what we had done before. Okay, cool.
Oh yeah, you were working
Yeah.
on this. You're
So-
making a list of dictionaries.
Yeah, so we have a list of dictionaries, and I think that seems really big enough. Okay, cool. So now let's talk about indexing into this dictionary. So let's say, a couple things to note. Remember, list of dictionaries. So the first index you're going to want to be thinking about is essentially like, what dictionary do you want to be dealing with? So let's go ahead and let's do me. Let's go ahead and do print staff. I'll go ahead and do 2. Remember, everything is 0 indexed, right? So now we're sort of at the dictionary that corresponds to me. And let's say I wanted to go ahead and print like staff, and then I wanted to see what my name is.
Right. Okay. So indexing into that entry
Indexing
in the list.
into so again, staff index 2. We're saying, hey, please go. We're in a list. Please go to the third element in our list. Remember, we're 0 indexed, so we're starting to count at 0, and then we're saying, hey, please give me the value associated with the key that is name.
So this is kind of like demonstrating multiple layered indexing into some data structure.
Yeah,
Like a composite data structure where we have this list, but now we've made it more complicated by making it a list not of like integers or strings, but of dictionaries. And so now you have this multi-layered way of actually getting to the specific piece of data that you need. So it's nice.
And I think this is great. Like anytime you have data that's related to each other, that you sort of want to keep together and you want to be able to like access systematically in a way that, it's sort of like, what's a good analogy for this? But I don't know, it's sort of like potted data. A dictionary is a great way to go.
Potted data?
Potted, well, I'm just thinking sort of like, if I throw a ton of data at you and you want to sort of group things together, you could do that in pods.
Oh, pod.
Pod.
I thought you said potted, like a plant.
No. I said pod, like sort of like a pod of,
A pod, yeah, exactly.
pod. Do you have a better metaphor?
That's great. That's
for
great. I misheard what you said.
dictionaries?
No, that's perfect. Yeah, just like a nice little collection of related information.
So let's really quickly, let's just remember what we've talked about so far. So far we've looked at lists, and we've already talked about that there's so much in Python that you can do with lists. They're great. They are ordered, right? So again, we can directly index into a list, and we can have a list can contain elements of different types, which is great. And now we looked at dictionaries. We just looked at a list of dictionaries, and we talked a little bit about the relationship between keys and their values, and again, sort of like how to access different things within a dictionary, and again, in this case, a list of dictionaries. So now I was thinking we could jump into another structure, which is called sets.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So, awesome. So the way we create an empty set is a bit weird. I think we have to say, I'm going to call it something else. Okay, so before we jump into sets, let me give you a bit of background on sets. So essentially, sets, they have like a couple very important characteristics. The first thing is that they are unordered, okay? And, one can argue there's no real like benefit to something being unordered, but it's just something to keep in mind. And then the next thing is that there are no duplicates in a set. Do we have some people that just followed? Is that what that noise was?
Albiado and Real Curious Kiwi, who's Brenda Anderson, which is she's on our Facebook group.
Wait, that's so exciting.
So thank you, Albiado, and thanks,
Hey.
Brenda, for following. Appreciate it.
And following means
Following
we're
means
watching
that
right now.
they can contribute to the chat.
Oh, that's so exciting. Okay, great. And this is also streaming on Facebook.
This is also streaming on Facebook.
Wow, that's exciting.
Unless I messed that up. I don't think so. I think it's streaming. Yeah, it is. It started officially at 1. Sometimes you have to manually go in. So if we stream in advance a little bit of music, right, like which we sometimes do, and it's before the official Facebook time, we'll have to manually go in and say trigger the event early, actually, because Facebook doesn't let you. It doesn't detect whether you're streaming and then immediately start the video. It waits until the specific time that you scheduled it, regardless of whether you're actively streaming to it, and then it will upload it. We actually pipe our streams to 2 separate spots. So right now we're streaming to Twitch and Facebook simultaneously, and so it receives the bits but won't actually broadcast them until it hits that cutoff, or we manually start it.
Interesting. Oh, I'm currently doing a lot of work with pipes in my
pipes are really cool. We covered a little bit of that in our Linux class.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's cool. Like, piping data in and out.
Are you talking about like C piping, like using pipes in C? Or we're talking about using shell commands. Yeah. Well, that's what we were. That's what you were saying.
Okay. So that's cool. Cool word to say. Okay. Cool. So so let's just create a set that I'm going to call chairs equals. See, it's better when there's like a sort of like a.
Well, there could be a set of names, for example, of first and last names.
Sure.
Let's do staff again. Let's just make that a theme.
Sure. Okay. Names equals. So a couple things to note. So with a list, right, we have the square brackets with a dictionary. We have curly brackets with key value pairs, and then with the set we have curly brackets with just like elements, and we'll look at this in exact.
So almost like if you were to mix a list and a dictionary together.
Yeah, kind of. In some ways.
In the syntax.
In the syntax.
Not in the semantic purpose of
Visually for sure.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and come up with names of staff. Greg. Brian. And now, this is where something interesting is going to happen. Okay. Well, first let's just see what we get when we do this. Okay. Let's go ahead and print names. Okay. So, a couple things that have happened. What's happened? What's changed? Do you notice anything interesting?
Well, you created a set of first names.
Yep.
So this is going to be. I will project that we might run into an issue if we try to add multiple first. Do we have staff that have the same first name, by chance, of any of those people? I don't think so. We only have one Greg, one Brian. Yeah. I was going to say if you had entries that were like people that we have 2 of the same first name, that's when we start to run into issues. But here I can just see that.
What happened between this line and this line? Something interesting has happened.
The order changed.
The order changed.
Yes, yeah.
And again, remember, sets are unordered. So when we, so our computer is like not storing information necessarily like about the order of sets, which is kind of like interesting. You really have to remember, which is why we can't index into a set. Because again, we don't have sort of order attached to it. Okay, so now I'm gonna create a different set because you're right, the names example doesn't quite work with what I wanna show. So instead I'm going to say, it's a bad example, but I'll say sizes equals, and this is like, maybe I'm gonna create a set of t-shirt sizes, and I'll say medium, small, and this is maybe like the backstory with this example. I'm gonna come up with it on the fly. Okay, someone bought 10 t-shirts of different sizes, and you're just telling me the sizes right now. So medium, the first t-shirt was a medium, second one was a small, next one was a medium, next one was a small, and then we had a large, okay? So if this were a list, we'd expect it to just sort of like print out what I just inputted. But interestingly, I put this into a set, which might be good or bad. Let's see what happens. So if I now print this, whoa, you'll notice that the set has removed duplicate entries, okay? So what's good and bad about the situation? Well, let's say I wanted to keep a record of all my purchases or something, then all of a sudden by storing all of this information in a set, I've lost a lot of data, right? Because I've sort of like squished it out. But if you said, oh, Veronica, here's like a bunch of data, I'm actually not really concerned with like the individual entries, but big picture, would you let me know what sizes you had available? You know what I mean? I know you sold 10 t-shirts, but what were the sizes of those, t-shirts? Then that might be a great situation where I say, okay, yeah, sure, just give me like the entries, I'll put the sizes in a set, and then just give you back that set, because that set will remove duplicate entries, and we'll just be looking at, as you can see, medium, small, and large. Okay.
Provoker 1986, thank you for the follow, by the way. Sorry to interrupt.
Ooh, wonderful. No, not interruption.
And we'll get back to a lot. We've missed a lot of chat. We'll get back up to that. We'll get a couple more examples through before we dive back into all that.
So again, big picture. And you'll notice if I try to index, it won't let me. So sizes, type.
It's hard to type live. I've realized that myself.
So right, if this were a list, which it's not, if it were a list, it'd have square brackets, and we'd expect to be able to index into medium, but this will say does not support indexing, again, because of this really interesting thing that we've talked about, which is that sets aren't ordered.
Testament also to Python's really nice error messages.
Really nice error message. Wow,
C
I feel
can
like
sometimes
I was
just
going to
give
say,
you
if this
nothing,
were C.
let alone, crude messages. But anyway.
No, yeah, debugging in C is a really interesting psychological experience.
Yeah.
And yeah, debugging debugging with ASM is also stressful, but GDB is great.
Yeah, GDB is very flexible. I don't use it enough, but I've seen
debugger.
I've seen it so many times, and it looks very powerful.
It's super powerful, yeah. Okay, cool. And I feel like we're getting a lot of quick things.
Oh, they're just saying, I think Bavik Knight says you don't need to put everything in print to output it. You can just literally type the variable.
Yeah, true, yeah. Beautiful. Okay, cool. So let's think of anything else. So yeah, so we've talked about lists, dictionaries, and sets, and I think we might as well jump into an activity.
Oh yeah, we could do that.
Or
yeah.
is there any other? Let's think if there's any other things that we want to.
I was going to say maybe some operations on the data structures, like for example, adding to a list.
Yeah. So let's create another list. Newspapers equals. So here's a list of newspapers that that one is whatever. Okay, well,
That's fine. That's fine.
Of newspapers that I sell at my shop. Now I want to change that because now I'm all of a sudden I'm adding, like I'm starting to sell
Taking a new inventory, selling another new newspaper.
I will now start supporting. What's another newspaper? LA Times.
Yeah, there you go.
Sure. And now if I print newspapers, we'll see indeed that it's been added, which is exciting. So again, we can sort of like perform a lot of operations. Like let's say now I lost my business. So I want to clear it. Now there's nothing in my list, newspapers. It's an empty list.
So that's an in-place operation on the list. So it'll actually when you call the function on that list, it'll actually mutate the data structure rather than return a copy of it if you were doing something with it.
Yes. Okay, and then let's go ahead and...
Oh, you have... so Irene says, hola desde Buenos Aires, Veronica.
Ay, qué cool. Hola.
So Irene is one of our very active staff members on the Facebook as well, alongside she and Andre.
Wait, that's so exciting.
I see both of them often together fielding a lot of the posts. I didn't realize that she was from Buenos Aires, though.
That's so cool. Hola.
I'll do a little bit of chat here. So about optimization, Python converts literals and Python functions into constants attached to the function as long as it does not have references to unknown values at the time, aka a parameter for the function, to avoid recreating them each time. That's good to know. I'm sure there's a lot. I haven't looked too much into the Python underneath the hood.
Me neither. Yeah, I haven't done mainly C++ optimization, but Python optimization. I think like the more abstract you get, the more fascinating it must be to sort of like come down all the way to a lower level and see what's going on there. Yeah.
Import dis. I'm not sure what dis is.
I also don't know.
Is that just like saying import this and it's like a joke? I'm not entirely sure.
I don't know.
Adam Fighter. Oh yeah, Gutex saying Gutex PogChat means excitement.
Awesome.
You can use the bttv extension to create custom emotes, but only visible to people who
so
have
that's
it
about
installed.
The emojis.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Interesting.
For Twitch, for like a Chrome extension for Twitch.
Cool.
There's also a limit to how many custom ones as well. BTB should be one in a preferable way. Oh yeah, back to we were saying about Python, how they have that mantra. There should be one and preferably only one way to do something, like one ideal way.
Interesting. Okay.
The Socratic form sort of way of looking at.
I feel like there's a bunch of different ways to do everything, and there are different reasons for picking every different way. I'm not sure that I totally agree with.
I don't think I do either.
Python
I think there's.
mantra.
I think oftentimes you'll get something that's very close to perfect in Python that you would have a hard time figuring, like the way they've designed the language. But I think it's the case that you probably could find multiple equally elegant ways to do something.
I think there are trade-offs to every design decision. So I think it's like a very case-by-case situation.
Import Zen, says Gouliash, which will actually write the Zen of Python if you want to try it in the chat for people.
Yeah.
So import Zen, and that should just trigger it. No module named Zen. Is it import this? There it is. So that's the...
Oh, wait, what is this?
So that's the Zen of Python. So it gives you all of the like sort of small catchphrases that define the philosophy of Python, I guess.
Wow.
Beautiful is better than ugly, explicit is better than implicit, simple is better than complex, complex is better than complicated. A lot of these sort of, not adages, but I guess tips that are pretty, I think,
oh, that's kind of nice. I didn't know this existed.
pretty obvious.
If
I
the
would
implementation is hard to explain, it's a bad idea. If the implementation is easy to explain, it may be a good idea. Now is better than never. Interesting. Refuse the temptation to guess.
For Sunlight, that's Fatma. She says, hello, Colton, Veronica, regulars, and everyone. Hi, Fatma. Good to have you with us. DJM earlier said, hi, all. Glad you've tuned in. Just because you're old doesn't mean she's that young, Colton. When I accidentally said 10, I think that's what they're talking
That's
about.
funny.
Making
Okay.
me look like a geezer. Vipul says, thanks, Colton. That'd be great. MStew GT. Werewolf really popular in the VR chat. MStew GT, thanks for joining us.
Oh, that's cool.
M. Kloppenberg, I learned Werewolf in IRC way back. Oh man, I
What's
didn't realize they had
IRC?
that. It's like a internet relay chat. It's like the old
Internet
school
relay
instant
chat.
messaging
Okay.
type stuff. It's still around. Fatma says, Veronica, I am rooting for you.
nice.
25 under 25.
Yes, that's nice.
I appreciate you guys try to read every message in chat, but with increasing viewer count, maybe pragmatic to skip the
Yeah.
chat or keep tabs more often. That could work too. Yep, that's true. We're trying to do a little bit better of it. It's going to take a little bit of practice, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I read Provoker 1986, but thank you for the follow. I think I read it. I'm not entirely
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
sure. Waves back at Veronica, says Brenda. Searching in sets 0 of 1. Hey, Fatma. I did some tests on this a bit ago, but when talking about fast way to check membership, a tuple or list is faster when less than or equal to 2 items.
Interesting.
But greater
Okay.
than 2, a set is always faster. Interesting. I wonder if they've purposefully made that optimization because it's such a high use case of 2 indexed or 2 or fewer indexed tuples. That makes sense. We should look at tuples actually. Do you want to write a tuple example?
Yeah.
Another data structure that's very common in Python.
Yeah. I really never use tuples except for in math.
Yeah,
Like
that's
if I
I think
have
probably like the best use case for it.
XY.
Yeah, when you're using like XY or XYZ pairs.
Yes. Do you remember the exact?
So it's a parentheses with multiple
Yeah.
arguments. So you could say XY, for example, like just type X comma Y, and then equals, and then a tuple. I think you can actually do it without the parentheses. I think parentheses are optional.
Okay.
But
let's
you
try
can now
it.
say like 10. You don't need the tuple keyword, but you can just say like 10 comma 15. And enter. And now if you just type X comma Y, you'll actually get it. See it with the parentheses, the syntax, the 1015 output again. And so you can do this to variable length tuples, whatever you want, basically. And there's a lot of cool. There's like named tuples, which is the tuple, which is a class that acts kind of like a small dictionary.
Okay.
Which is kind of cool. And yeah.
Interesting.
It's pretty neat. Another data structure that you'll see a lot, used, I guess, per what Userman said about the efficiency of indexing.
That's interesting. I hadn't really thought about. What do you think about that? Why? I guess that makes sense if, for sort of like this specific use case, it would be faster.
I'd have to look
That's
into
pretty
seeing
interesting.
what they did with
we
it.
could time it.
But that's cool.
That's cool.
Irene, I just got it. Veronica, you need to put everything in print. Blah, blah. You can use iSlice to index a set technically.
Oh,
iSlice.
interesting.
Python,
iSlice.
iSlice
Okay.
set. Not too familiar with what that is. Let's take a look at that. Oh, it's an itertools function, it looks like. iSlice. Oh, you have to actually define it? I don't think I've ever used iSlice, actually.
No, me neither. Okay. Let's see. Roughly equivalent. Interesting.
Oh, they're saying roughly equivalent to in the documentation. By the way, docs.python.org for you to look at. I don't know if you want to pull up what it looks like.
Yeah.
Oyen Bex, thank you very much for the follow. Appreciate it. Thank you for joining us. The docs.python.org, and then you can go. So by default, it's giving you 3.7.1, which is the newest version of Python, the newest properly released version of Python. They might have a beta in progress. I'm not sure, but you can search by version at the top. So at the very top, You can choose between Python 3.7, you can choose 2.7, 3.6, 3.5. Those are the main supported versions at the moment. This would be something that you look at when you want to find what functions exist for a given module, like lists, for example. Well, I guess, and that would be like built-in functions. That would be part of the built-in functions page. But for example,
cool.
if you wanted to look
new?
at how do I use the CSV class, which is a nice class,
Yeah.
we use that to parse CSV entries and generate quizzes from those for example, the business school class. Take CSV and iterate through it and generate rows of lists, or generate, sorry, a list of lists. So one list for each row of the CSV, which is pretty cool. And you have options to actually make dictionaries if you wanted to. So for example, your header is name, age, date of birth, whatever it is. You can actually have
with dict writer.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, dict
very
reader, dict
cool.
writer.
The Python docs are really, really great. Like I think, it's great when the actual sort of programming language produces really, really great documentation.
David actually does not like the Python documentation.
Really? Why does he not like that?
I'm not 100% sure. It can, at times it can be lacking in information for some functions.
Okay.
And I think it could use a little bit more like code snippets for a lot of the parts. But in general, I find I can get through with them. But yeah, I think I do understand what he means by
I like
they're not
the Python
the
pages.
greatest.
I like the Linux man pages.
He's a fan of the PHP. He was a big fan of the PHP manual. Every 2 to 5 minutes, the user man, that way it does not build up too fast. So we got mixed philosophies. So user man says we should read it every 2 to 5 minutes, and then JP is saying we should probably not read it as much. It's hard to find that balance, but I'm working on it, trying my best. Stream by stream,
exactly.
Let's figure it out.
And I think this seems like quite a large volume of messages.
Yeah, it's growing a lot every single time, which is great. Tuple can be used to make dictionary keys because they are immutable. I have to see dict tuple as keys. Yeah, that's another thing about tuples. They are immutable. You cannot change them. You cannot index into them. They are data that you can get. They're read-only. It's read-only information.
Which is why you might use it if you wanted to store information, like I don't know, like a point in 3D space.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
I'm trying to find the exact usage. Oh, you use tuples as keys, right? So you can actually like have a dictionary because they're immutable, because they're only going to get one value, right? Essentially, they equate to a hash, the equivalent of a hash. You can say D and then use like 1, 2. Let me just verify this before.
Sure. Yeah.
2, 3. Equals Veronica, right? I screwed that up. So D equals, and then make a dictionary, and then I can say D 1, 2, 3. And I forgot to put the parentheses there. That is equal to Veronica. Let's see if that works, which it does. So now I can say print D. And that works. So you can type that example if you want.
Let's do it.
So we create an empty dictionary first.
Yeah, and one thing to note about empty dictionaries, just to jump right in, so you'll notice that we're, again, dealing with the curly braces, which is something that we looked at with sets as well. So how do you declare an empty set? You can't just do this directly. So 2 empty sort of curly braces will produce an empty dictionary. But if we wanted to create an empty set, we have to do this.
Use the set constructor.
Tiny thing, just to remember that, again.
Good thing to bring up.
Yeah, the empty set, so like that creating an empty dictionary might look like a way that we'd create an empty set, but it is not. Cool.
And userman uses tuples can all be used as keys as long as the stuff in it is hashable and preferably immutable as well. Yes.
Okay,
So right now we're creating a tuple, and then we're going to use it as a key in the dictionary, and then we can assign it the string, whatever, Veronica, assign it any value we want to. But now, if we were to do that and then just output D, what we get is a dictionary key that's actually a tuple. So it's a cool thing.
That is cool.
I've never used it in day-to-day programming, but maybe you'll find a use case where that just makes sense for something.
Interesting. Yeah.
Programming is a very flexible
use cases for that, but that's some cool functionality for sure. Okay.
We,
Yeah, we're gonna
we did
read
file
from-
operations already. If not,
we're
can you
gonna do
read from a
some,
doc,
yeah.
etc., beyond a CSV? A file operation, so you can read from a doc. So doc files are XML-based documents, XML-based files. So it's a little bit complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some custom XML format for docs that has all the styling information and whatnot. CSVs are simple because CSVs are only comma separated.
So we can parse
rows.
them by looking at
Yeah.
commas. Yeah.
Exactly.
So anytime we're dealing with like a file that's either comma separated or sort of like set up where every line is its own thing, it's usually pretty easy to extract information from.
You don't need the parentheses of troubles in doing D1, 2, implicitly converts. Oh, right. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Makes sense. Yeah,
Cool.
just like when you use it for argument, for variable unpacking, which
Yeah,
we
we
showed
didn't
earlier.
need. We didn't have to put the parentheses.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right, I think we're caught up on chat. So maybe
Awesome.
let's dive
Yeah,
into
let's dive in.
one of the meatier things
Sure.
that you have lined up.
Yeah. So, sort of like a fun thing. So, I just looked up a list of U.S. presidents and have this just like as a text file here because I was having like a conversation with one of my blockmates about diversity in politics. And, you always hear the statistics of like how many women are in Congress, how many non-white people are in Congress, et cetera. And, if you look at U.S. history, it's very much one small group of people. And she was like, oh, like how many first names do you think we have in U.S. presidents? Because it's, again, not like a very diverse group in terms of names or really anything else. So I was like, oh, that's kind of fun, actually. So I think just like using this text file lets us practice a bit of what we've learned and discussed already with data structures, and again, try to like do fun stuff with this data.
Okay, sure.
Cool.
Let's take a look at it.
Yeah, let's jump in. Dun, 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 just for fun, I'll put that here. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so basically the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to...
So you have a script here called twitch.py,
Yeah, I'll put that
right?
in.
And then this information is in a text file called presidents.txt.
Presidents.txt. Yeah, I don't know why I can't make this little thing bigger, but...
Oh, I'm not sure. I don't use
That's okay.
Atom too much.
What do you use?
I use VS Code, which is similar.
Interesting. Not Sublime.
Yeah, no, not Sublime.
Okay, so basically what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to essentially like open presidents.txt and store it in a list where every element in the list is one line. So one thing that like we don't see is that at the end of each of these lines is a \n, which signifies the start of a new line. So what I'm doing right now, and the order might seem a little bit funky, but we'll explain it in a second, is I'm going to go ahead and strip the \n on each of these lines.
For specifically our strip, which is the right side of the string.
Yeah, and actually I'm going to go ahead and, for line in, open, and then I think the file is called, presidents.txt. Okay.
Userman, I always use PyCharm for Python code stuff. It's very good for pure Python, but I like Sublime for quick edits. I haven't used PyCharm, but I've heard so many good things about it. I have to take a look at it. Sublime I used to use a lot.
Really?
Sublime is great.
Really?
Sublime is really good. It's really fast, really efficient. I don't know. I guess I chose Atom for some reason or other. I think it had some other shortcuts and plugins that I liked. And then I switched to VS Code for kind of the same reason, except it was a little bit more memory conservative than Atom is. And had some cool support, and it's being very actively developed. But they're all sort of interchangeable. They're all interoperable.
What makes Sublime fast?
It's a C++ editor, as opposed to Atom and VS Code are Electron shell editors.
Interesting.
So they're basically running
Electron
running a web browser and using that as your text editor, or the back end of a web browser.
Okay.
But we should talk about this line, because this line actually has a lot of stuff in it.
Yeah, let's break it down. Cool. So first we're using open. So we're just looking for, we're going to open this file, whatever we pass in here. In this case, again, I have, if we go back here, and it's a little hard to see, but here I have just like a text file called presidents.txt, which again just contains like information on all the U.S. presidents, and it's not a CSV file. This one is actually like organized by data in lines. So if you're dealing with a CSV file, usually what you're looking for is like, how can I cut up data or like cut up strings based on commas and usually also based on new lines. But in this situation, we actually have no commas, so we can just directly sort of figure out where to cut our string based on new lines. Because again, so one thing I like to remind people of. So we look at this text file and it looks pretty straightforward, like nicely organized. I can read it and it looks like, everything sort of line by line. But our computer is really seeing this as like one giant string, right? One giant string. And what we're not seeing here is, the \n. So like the computer sort of seeing it as, strings where every string is terminated by a \n so that it's displayed to us as being on a new line, okay? So when we open that file, right, when we're here and we just open this text file, it's really like one long string. But we can use a for loop to essentially like go through and get every single line from that text file. And then, but again, if we just did that, that wouldn't be enough because we need to strip each of those lines, okay? We need to remove that little \n that indicates to the computer that it should present that text file on a new line, okay? So again, this first step, we've sort of like put a lot in one line, but again, essentially what we're doing is we're going into our text file and we're saying, hey, please let's create a list where every element in the list is an individual line in the text file. And then because we want to be treating each element in the list as a line in like human terms, not in computer terms, let's go ahead and remove that \n, okay? So
For Sunlight, Fatma says, can we print that file to see the \n?
sure. Oh, yeah, sure. So let's go ahead and we can maybe, I'll comment this out. Oh, no. Okay. Let's go ahead and, cool. We could, I could do it in the editor too, but whatever, I'll just do Python 3 twitch.py. Oh no, invalid syntax or line and open. Oh, okay, so I guess I do need that for there, but okay.
You could just say line for line.
Line for line,
Yeah.
yes. That. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Awesome. Okay, so here, let's just take a look and see what's happening here. So again, as we talked about, we have a list of strings where each string is every single line in our text file. But again, remember, in order to see our text file sort of in this format, our computer sort of like attaches a \n to every single line. Again, just to indicate that when it's displaying it to the user, it needs to do that on a new line. So when we actually go through and truncate that like big string that is our text file into different chunks, what our computer is doing is it's just saying, okay, awesome, yeah, I'll truncate it at the \n, but it's not really removing the \n, which is why we're seeing the \n here.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we could probably just output the raw string as well if you were just to like print open presidents.txt.
That's a good idea. Yeah, let's do that.
And also, userman says the strip function will auto remove line breaks and white space if nothing is passed to it. Just the regular strip function. So we could use them interchangeably.
Yeah. Okay, and we could also strip like based on other things like commas or spaces or other things. So we can do that later. But yeah, just for fun, we could print out the full thing. Like I'll just say full equals open presidents, just to show people what that would look like. And then I'll go ahead and...
Userman2 has followed. Thank you, Userman2.
Okay. Comment.
Oh, I guess we turned off follower-only chat. That makes sense.
What do you mean?
Because there's a thing where you can have followers only can chat, and then you can have just anybody can chat.
Mm-hmm.
And I think clearly if Userman2 wasn't following, he's been chatting the whole time. And actually Brenda was the other day too. So follower only chat is not currently enabled.
So actually I don't think we can just print out the full file, but that's fine.
Oh, because it's a you have to do read, the .read function. So call .read on that open at the very end. And I'll try that. You're getting a file IO object. There we go. But it actually will output it. Because when you call it through print, it'll actually output the string printed properly to the CLI, which results in you're not actually getting the you're not getting the actual data. I think you can call bytes, the bytes function on that.
So instead of read? Or
So you would call bytes over this whole thing.
Or can I do directly?
Oh, maybe you can use dot bytes. Yeah, maybe you can.
Let's
I'm not
try it.
100% sure.
We'll try it.
I think you have to cast it to bytes with calling bytes over the whole thing. Yeah.
I see.
It's been a little while.
That's interesting. Okay, I was gonna say, always stress.
String argument. Oh, you need an encoding. So UTF-8, I guess, the second argument to that after bytes. Yeah, and then comma or as a string UTF-8 lowercase. It has to be a string though.
Beautiful.
Let's try that. There we go. And now we can see the new lines.
Oh, yes. Okay, okay, so exactly. So again, we sort of have to parse through like step 0 of doing anything, manipulating, anything with data is going through and like parsing it in a way that you can then manipulate more easily. So again, here we have this text file that looks quite straightforward when we're reading it, but everything is sort of, it's like really just one long string with, \ns sprinkled throughout. Cool. So now let's go back to our program.
Userman 2 has a couple of suggestions. Might want to introduce the with statement since it's good with files. Yep, that's a good idea. We might be able to do that. And then userman 2 says read.encode also. The .encode function would replace the bytes, which would help us out.
Oh, sure.
A little bit cleaner. But
That's
it's okay.
cool.
We don't have to necessarily demonstrate it. But yeah, thank you very much, userman 2. But yeah, the with open, so you use the with statement, and then that will basically let you set aside a block in which you have that file opened just for the context of that block. It's called a context manager. So with open something as f, indent, and then you have access to f as your file handle.
With open.
Yeah, with open presence.txt. And then as, space as, f, or whatever you want your file to be called, colon, and then you create a new block. So within that, you now have access to f. So you could do print f.read, for example. And probably comment out those other lines above there, just so it's not
Gonna get
causing too much
confused with
issue.
anything, yeah. Sounds good.
And then save it, and then run it. And that should open Chrome real
Where's
quick.
the credit? No.
And then we should have,
Yes.
exactly. So now we have access to F, but then as soon as, the nice thing about this is you don't have to actually call close on open, not that you normally have to do it anyway, but this is just a little bit more, I guess, secure and efficient.
Interesting,
And it's better for from an engineering perspective because now you have F just for the context that you need it. It's not open for the duration of your file.
That makes sense. Yeah. Interesting. So from an
Or the duration of your
perspective.
script, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So thanks for the suggestion, Userman 2. Good suggestion.
Do you want to keep with the with open?
We can do that, but you need but your script uses the line.rstrip list comprehension.
Yeah.
So another thing we should have maybe talked about is that list comprehension, what the list comprehension is, because you did talk about it. But the idea of the list comprehension is that it should be enclosed in the list brackets, for example.
Yeah. Okay. So let's maybe.
Context manager. I love Python's context manager. So yeah, they're
What is
really
that context manager?
It just basically lets you define a start and an end to something.
Okay.
So if you need something to happen as soon as something finishes executing, which typically is like file.close on a file, for example, you can define a context manager for it such that it will call that automatically for you. So what happens is with open will actually trigger the f.close when it comes out of scope.
Sort of
and
like automatically,
behind the scenes. Yeah.
Oh, that's
and you can
great.
do that for anything that you want. You can have anything happen behind the scenes for any given class or object.
Okay, like what else?
I haven't done it in a long time.
Okay,
There's a lot of
yeah.
there are other uses for it. I have seen it. I can't come up with
Fair,
that off the top of my head. But maybe you want to do a database commit or something on something while you're doing the work, or save something, or maybe you want to trigger some other operation.
And you want it to be sort of like contained.
Yeah.
And
something that should
safer?
happen on exit. Yeah, and it then also just from a programming perspective limits the scope of what you're doing to a particular block as opposed to just being top level, which is
That's cool.
Yeah.
Good suggestion. Wow, yeah, Userman 2 is really...
Yeah, a lot of great suggestions. Electricity gone, PC was shut down, but I'm from phone trying to give one example, says Bavik Knight. Yeah, well,
Okay,
definitely
we'll
stay
wait
with
for that.
Anything that has enter and
Example.
exit can be used with. Yes,
Oh, that's cool.
that's the protocol for context managers. The enter and exit. Again, those underscore functions are sort of like hidden functions that let you define like how your objects work with one another, like len, for example.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Okay, that's exciting. This is fun. Okay, so next thing I want to do. Okay, so there's a lot of things that we can do with this information, but one thing I noticed sort of when I was scrolling through is like, James.
A lot of repeated first names.
James. Lots of Williams. William. Lots of Johns, etc. And then I was like, like, there are a lot of reasons. These are common names for a bunch of reasons, but I was kind of curious, like, what's the sort of proportion of total presidents to number of individual names and a bunch of other sort of like fun stuff like that we can do sort of with a basic list of names. So, like, I was thinking we could do something like, I'll create maybe an empty list called first names, and then I want to iterate over, and again, we've already looked at what lines is, which is currently a list of strings where each string is just like the text that we have in one line of our text file, again, with no /n. And what I'm going to do is just for I in lines, first names dot append, and then I'm going to do dot split, actually, because I want to split this by spaces, and then 0. Okay, so I've also kind of done quite a lot here. Let me just go ahead and print first names, and then we're going to talk about what's going on.
Dissect it. James and William exclusive file kappa, says userman too.
James and William exclusive.
I think it's basically saying there's a lot of James and Williams in there. Basically only James and Williams. Georges, really? A lot of Georges though.
Lots of Georges. Yeah, like again, I just think we've had a lot of presidents, but they've all been the same in a lot of ways. Okay, moving on. So basically what we're doing here is we're just saying, hey, for every element in our list, and again, remember, we currently have a list of strings, go ahead and append, right, just add to our empty list first names. So I dot split square bracket 0. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying, hey, for whatever string that we are currently on, because again, here we're iterating over all of the strings, like each of the strings in our list of strings, for the string that we are currently at, please go ahead and split it by, so split will automatically split by spaces. So it's going to split this into spaces, and then this will become its own list of strings that are split by spaces. And then what I'm doing is I'm indexing into just the first thing there. And the reason I'm doing that is if we go back to our text file, you'll see that, if we're at like this specific string and I split it by spaces, I know that at the 0th index for any of those strings that have already been split, I'm going to be looking at a first name. And for the sake of this example, that's sort of the information that I'm currently interested in. So,
and this sort of definitely relies on you having a consistent data set too.
Interesting, consistent in terms of...
And making sure every single line fits that 100%. Because it'd be unfortunate if you didn't, if you, for example, had a first name missing or somebody entered their data in the wrong order.
Yes.
And userman also makes a point. It says that any, basically a for loop mixed with a list with a append can just be made into a list comprehension.
Interesting.
Do you want to maybe demonstrate what he means? So basically taking like, basically doing this to this. So you would say first names equals, and then it would be I dot split 0 for I in first names.
First names equals.
And then you would basically take this part here, which is the I dot split.
Are you saying like for line in?
For I in lines in this case.
Okay.
So you would do that.
I in lines.
And then you would put that at the beginning. No, you put that part at the very beginning. Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
And then, so that what that's taking is because you're getting this I from the for loop.
That makes sense.
And then you can do this to it, and that'll get put into there exactly. And then you can just get rid of this.
Sounds good.
And to his point, it is definitely more elegant.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Sounds good.
And so now we should be able to print it out. It should work, right?
Yeah, this should work. Awesome.
So thank you, userman2, for that suggestion.
Good design. Yeah. Cool. So now we've gotten to this, which is exciting, and I guess we can't really have people immediately jumping in, but do you have a sense of what data structure might be really helpful if we wanted to?
Oh, to get a sense of.
Okay, actually, before we do that, let's go ahead and do print. I'll do print f the total number of U.S. presidents is first names, just for fun.
Oh, Bavik Knight had a suggestion for a dictionary comprehension. That's correct. Yeah. We'll take a look at that in just a second.
Yeah.
A name tuple would be good for grouping CSV data into a structure with attributes as user meant to. Yes, agreed, definitely.
First.
If you want to sort this dictionary, it would be like Bavik Knight's suggestion.
Okay, cool. So currently.
Oh, another demonstration of the F string as well. Love it.
Yeah, another demonstration of the F string, and basically what I've done here is sort of before doing anything else with the list that we currently have of first names, I just said, just for fun, let's let Len do the work of calculating how many U.S. presidents we've had. And again, we just formatted this string to output the length of this list, which again, length when we're dealing with lists is number of elements. Remember, we also used length with like an individual string, and that gave us the number of characters in the string. But in this case, it's number of elements. Cool, so now that we know the total number of U.S. presidents is 45, let's go ahead and we can cast first names as a set, and it'll give us sort of like the same data, but with duplicates removed. So like, let's say we wanted to find out what's the total number of like individual U.S. president first names, we could print out the length of elements in a set of the first names. Because again, it would automatically remove duplicates. So we can go ahead and do that. So I'll do like set names just to keep it clear what we're doing.
Good variable naming, very important.
Yeah, set first names, and then I'll go ahead and say, let's copy that. The total number of U.S. president first names is length. I think I called it set names.
And also another great demonstration of using len on two different data structures.
Two different data structures, yeah, which is really cool. So again, it's just sort of number of elements. So that, to me, is a remarkable difference, right?
Interesting.
So we have total number of U.S. presidents is 45, but, oh, my head is kind of in the way. But it looks like we have a total of 30 total.
I was actually thinking it was going to be fewer. I'm surprised. I thought it was going to be like 15 first names, or 20.
Interesting. I'm actually curious, which are these first names? Let's go ahead and print first names. Well, Barack and Donald.
That's true. And Andrew, for Andrew Jackson. Oh, Gerald. Yeah, I guess we have a fair number. Dwight's kind of a... Oh,
Zachary,
Ulysses. I forgot about Ulysses. Ulysses is such a different class of name.
I didn't realize that was
yeah,
the
Rutherford
first
B.
name.
Hayes, yeah. That's an
Okay.
old school name. That's not a name you see
Okay,
anymore.
so this is interesting. Actually, I'm not sure why this is...
Oh, because did you print... Oh, you didn't print set names, that's why.
I print... Oh, wonderful. I was like...
There we go.
I was going to say, that feels like a long list. Oh, okay, wonderful. And again, you'll notice these aren't ordered, but we could order them perhaps by like casting it to a list and then calling the sort method to print it out. Okay, what's another thing we want to do with this data set that you can think of?
That's a good question. Maybe count how many occurrences of each individual name.
Ooh, yeah. So I might go here and I can do like print. So my dad's name is William. So I'm going to go ahead and count William.
Nice.
And I'll go ahead and say...
average name length says userman 2.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, we can do that. Okay, the number of Williams as...
And we have Nikolai with the ever wonderful contributions there. Thank you very much for that.
What?
The kid-friendly stream.
Okay. And again, notice I'm obviously doing the number of Williams as presidents is first name count William. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying, hey, please go into our list of first names and just count the number of times that you find this.
And I didn't realize that you were doing this before.
Yeah.
But you're actually, this is a great thing about format strings, is you're actually calling a function within the template placeholder, which is such a powerful thing you can do.
It's extremely powerful. I think just sort of like can make things really clear. Like I think if I were reading this, and I could, I could put this, store this as like X, and then pass X in. But then if I were reading the code later, it wouldn't be immediately clear to me what I was doing versus to me this is pretty clear. Like I'm saying, okay, first names, please count William.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's pretty clear to me. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and let's just see. Oh, invalid syntax. Let's see where that is. Oh, okay.
Nikolai, just showing off my skills, bro. He says, basically kid-friendly. What do you want about the correct anatomically terms? And Nikolai.
Okay. I think what
you're not wrong. President Mars, impressive.
Davis, answer what I'm doing wrong with count.
First name's not count Williams. So sorry. What does it say? What's the error?
Just invalid syntax. Pretty sure this is the right syntax for count.
Oh, because you're using inner quotes. You need to use apostrophes because your string is delimited by double quotes.
Yes, beautiful. Okay, awesome. Oh yeah, okay. The number of Williams as presidents is 4.
4 Williams. Williams is a very common name, to be fair.
True. Yeah. Okay. I think if I were writing a paper on this, I think like the next steps I would do is like find out, like get a bunch of data on like how many people were born at all these different years that had this name. Like I'd try to figure out like, when these 4 Williams were president, how common was William as a name?
I think it was. I mean, certainly the demographics of our country have changed so much, too.
They have, yeah.
I think for our first 200 years, we were very not diverse, and it seems like we've grown a lot, thankfully, in the last 50 years.
Yeah,
50 to 100 years, probably. I'd have to see when sort of like the demographic changes have most occurred.
Interesting.
They've been most dense.
Interesting. Okay. Okay, I like the suggestion of finding the average character length of the first names. So I think that's kind of fun to do.
Nikolai says, can you explain why you cannot surround strings with single quotes in C?
Yeah. So essentially, I think let's just go back and see how that looked. So you'll notice that, actually, I think they are mainly interchangeable, but I think count.
No, it's because your F string is delimited by a double quote. So what it thinks is that it's coming here and then it's seeing this quote and it thinks that that's the
even
end
though
of the string.
it's not okay. So you think Adam is just sort of formatting it slightly differently?
It is, yeah.
But
Adam is smart enough to know what you're going for, but Python.
So this should work if I switch it to single quotes, and then the inside thing has double quotes.
Yep, that should work.
Interesting.
But but Nikolai was wondering about in C why you can't surround strings with single quotes.
Interesting. I think it's just a C thing, right?
Yeah.
That C, all of C, you need to use double quotes. And I'm trying to think, we use single quotes
for characters.
For characters, and you can use like 3 single quotes for comments.
That's in Python.
In Python. Wonderful.
They all blend together. All languages blend together.
Yeah.
It's a compiler. It's a compiler thing. Compilers, the language, the grammar of C requires that be the case, but Python has a different grammar, where the two are interchangeable. Same with like JavaScript, for example. Mm-hmm. And it would be nice. I'm partial to single quotes. I like single quotes in
more.
Do you like double quotes more?
Okay, so my sense is I think because I started learning programming in C, I always sort of associate strings with the double quotes.
Sure.
And I always see the single quotes and feel like something is missing. But obviously, in terms of space and arguably readability, those would be a little bit easier. And
you don't have to hit shift. I think that's my water.
That's water. Oh, where did I put my water?
Is yours that one over there?
I think it's right there.
Oh, that one right there. Yeah.
It's getting kind of thirsty.
I want to give you my my germs. I kind of want to have a separate scope for F strings so that string collisions cannot happen. Separate scope for F strings so string collisions cannot happen. I'm not sure what you're referring to, Userman, too. How about the most popular name? Oh, the most popular name was. Oh yeah, we were going to get to most popular name, and then you said average length of the name. So was another thing you wanted to try out.
Yeah.
And is both string and both the quotes, both strings in Python doesn't matter. Default to single quote unless I'm using single quote in the string. Yeah, same with me.
Interesting.
Never understood why they did it that way, Nikolai. Yeah, there's this thing called a grammar, which is basically a pattern, a large pattern, and it's more complicated than that. But essentially, a set of rules that text written in C has to follow, and the pattern is very strict with the symbols that it will expect for different parts of the grammar. And in the case of C, it is very strict. It's not an or for the apostrophes and quotes that it is in Python or JavaScript, it's a very much hard set. And that's just the way the language has been
What do you
designed.
mean an or? Like that it's like a
it's
user
not,
choice?
you can't use single or double in C like you can in JavaScript.
Right.
Like the grammar like has an or at that point that says I will
Yes,
accept either
yes,
of these
yes.
unless you've used that same character earlier, in which case it's going to end the string there and trigger syntax errors after that, right? It's
Right.
closing the string
Oh,
at
yeah,
that point
interesting,
and trying
yeah.
to parse the string, and it's
Yeah.
seeing all this stuff that it doesn't recognize after that, which
And
is
then
what's
freaking out.
triggering.
Yeah.
That's what's triggering the error.
Okay, cool. So
You
I
have to
think-
escape maybe for it. Oh yeah, and you could also do it this way. You could do the / quote per Babbitt Knight
Oh.
suggestion. Strings in C or in Python, you can escape with /.
Just
is
backslash?
Is it backslash or is it double quote? I think it's backslash
Like this?
quote. Now I'm forgetting because one of the languages, I forget whether it's JavaScript. I always avoid the issue by just using the opposite quote, but it's either a double quote or / quote will let you escape the quote and then therefore use it inside of another quote, if that makes sense. So
Semi makes sense.
/ cannot be used in F-string
Okay,
fragments
okay.
as user man too. Yeah, because I was seeing your
Yeah.
text editor wasn't working.
I wasn't super
Um,
finding it.
Has been away from me at least to use double quotes and there could maybe something dynamic inside the string, otherwise static sort of. Yeah, you almost always / or escape with the /. Yeah, agreed.
Nice +1.
I'm not sure what in Python how to do it off the top of my head. I'd have to Google it.
Yeah, fair.
All right.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think it might be fun to print out I think let's go ahead and maybe do like a for loop for I in first names. Okay, so I'm just gonna say what I'm thinking first. So I think it'd be cool to go over the set of names and go over the, actually no, I think we should, no, this won't work. Let me think. Okay, so I think it'd be interesting to print out like essentially the string, the number of Williams as presidents is, etc. But for every single name in the set, if that makes sense. I think that will work. Like I think if I do for I in set names, and then
I
can,
see.
Like,
yeah, you're going to do
ooh.
count and then insert that
Yeah.
number into
So let's do
a
print
list.
the number of.
Userman 2, I'm not sure if that is correct. It's definitely the case, though, that we just tested it, that the string, if it is the same quotes type as the parent quote type, it will cause a collision. So I don't think, the scope might be true, but the actual syntax is such that it doesn't take that into consideration at the least.
Okay, I think this will work. For I in set names, the number of as presidents.
Oh, okay, sure.
I think that will work.
First names dot count I. Did you make that a?
First names dot count I. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah,
Let's try
that should work, right?
Should work. Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, that looks right to me, right?
Okay.
Yeah, George. Yeah, nicely done.
It doesn't order it. but-
Doesn't order it now.
Okay, 5. James's. Oh, okay. I added an
James.
extra S just to like.
James's.
James's. Okay. Cool. And then, dun, 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 dun. We could order it, but that's kind of fun. It's interesting. And then again, note here that we've had like an interesting situation where we're bringing together both sets and lists, right? Because we're iterating over our set. And why are we iterating over our set? Well, we wouldn't want to iterate over our list because then we'd be printing like we'd print out like the number of Williams as presidents is we'd print that 4 times, right? Because we'd be iterating over every name in our list of strings. So
Right.
instead we're iterating over every element in our set of names, right? So that's the 30 names, no duplicates, 30 names of first names of our presidents. And then we are saying, but when we are counting, we want to be using our list. Is that a follower?
Hazial at Twitch.
Ooh,
Hazial
cool
at Twitch.
name.
Hopefully I'm reading that correctly. And Dakota,
Dakota
D.
D.
I missed that
Ooh.
one earlier. I apologize for that. Dakota D.
That's cool.
Hazial at Twitch. Did I miss any other ones? Nope. That's
Userman
it.
2, we know.
Yeah, Userman 2 is the last one that I remember reading off. So thank you very much for the
Yep,
follows.
thanks for joining. So again, another super cool example of like a way that we can bring together all the functionality of sets and lists and format them in like a cool string. And again, remember, we're sort of like directly applying the count method to the first names list and counting the number of instances I, where I is a first name in the set of first names that we created. Okay, cool. Any other suggestions as to other fun things that we should, any other fun ways to tinker with it? I'm trying to think. Average. Is average built into Python?
if you're looking at a like a list, like the average.
Yeah, like average
the mean,
length
median
of
mode.
characters. If we did like average length of characters in a list of strings.
I have to look it up.
Let's
I'm
look
not
it up.
entirely sure. So
I think
Python
it's built in,
average function. I mean, I'm sure there is a function like that. Average of a list, sum length. Okay. Geeks for geeks.
Oh, so we could do like sum of all the characters divided by number of elements in the list?
Yeah,
Is that
sum
what they're-
divided by length, yeah.
Okay, it seems like, sure, we can do that. Like, I'll go ahead and say average name, average.
So you could make it probably a list comprehension, right? Could you?
Sure. But
No,
I
you
think
can
I'd
just
want
put
to store it.
the number of, so if you're looking at the set, right?
Yeah.
And then you want to take the length of each of those names.
So I think it depends on, are we looking at average of, like, would we want William to count 4 times as much as Ulysses?
I don't think so. I think
No?
this would be on the set.
Okay,
yeah.
okay, cool. So we could do, like, you want to do directly, or we could do, like, average?
Yeah, you could do, we could just do, like, name lengths, for example.
Sure, that's a good idea. Name, length.
And then we do, like, equals, and then you could make this a comprehension where you could say lang of name
Okay,
for name in set names.
love it.
And then what that'll do is it'll give us all of the lengths for the individual names. And if you wanted to make it an average, a proper average of the of all the names, you would just change that to first names, right? And that would give you all
So
of the
slightly
names.
weighted distribution.
Yeah,
Okay,
it
so let's
is,
try that first. So this is like unique first names in our U.S. presidents. Let's go ahead and see. And I hate that we like have all these print statements now. Oh, print name links. Oh, okay, so we want to print.
So 10, I'm guessing, is Rutherford because that's the longer one. So average isn't actually a function.
Really?
So you would need to do.
We do need to do the
length of name.
we would do sum.
You would do sum of name lengths,
Yeah,
exactly,
sum
divided by
by-
length of name lengths, and then that will give you the average. And I think it was Brenda. So thanks to Brenda for the suggestion. Who
Okay,
asked
so
us
which
to
is
do that?
10.
Rutherford.
Oh, Rutherford. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, nice. 6.5 roughly. 6.5
Okay.
characters is
But
the
see,
average.
I want to do. Let me see first names because I think.
So the weighted or
I
the
think-
unweighted
well,
average or whatever.
So this would be weighted.
Oh, weighted. Yeah, right.
So
right.
weighted, now we're taking into account all of the first names, and let's go ahead and, again, do some more fun math, where we're trying to figure out, see, I think this is going to be higher, because I think William
I think so. Yeah.
is higher.
Probably. There's a lot of
but
Georges
James,
though.
Yeah,
George
James,
is George is 6.
James, okay, actually.
and James is 5.
So I'm going to guess that it's higher.
Ooh, it's lower.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
Who is, okay, James
So
is
James is
5.
pretty small. There's 5 James.
Interesting. Franklin.
I don't know. That's crazy.
How
There's
do
a
we
lot
have
of them
two
that are 6.
Franklins? William.
Barack is 6. John. Oh, John. There's 4 Johns.
Oh, it's the Johns that are bringing
Johns
this
and
average
it's the
down.
Johns and James.
Johns and James. Wow. Okay. Okay, so this is fun. I mean, I think Python math is also super fun to do.
Yeah, it's super easy,
Lots
right?
of built-in stuff that we can sort of directly do.
Oh man, I did not know how to read that name.
Shoot.
That is in Chinese, I do believe.
Looks
man.
like Mandarin, yeah.
Yeah, I can try.
Do you have a?
I can try and
Sound it out?
Not copy it, but no, I don't know how to read Hanzi. But if I did, I would give it a try. Unfortunately, I don't. But thank you very much for the follow, whomever that was. If anybody knows how to pronounce that, definitely let me know. I probably would butcher it because I don't know how to. I don't know the tones
Characters.
in Chinese.
Yeah. Oh no, I was actually just talking to a student that for his final project might do like a Mandarin tone mastery.
Oh, that'd be so
website.
cool.
Isn't
That'd be
that
so
cool?
cool.
Yeah.
We got
Exciting.
a bunch of stuff up here.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So okay, there's tons of different ways to do this. This is sort of like the very step-by-step nitty-gritty.
Oh, Nikolai was asking about the F strings. Yep, just basically allowing you to put variables
Yep.
inside the string as opposed to there are other messier ways to do it, and we went
Like
over some of those.
String concatenation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For I and set, yep, first names. Wonder what the performance would be over loss over printf or sprintf. Good question. I'm not sure. Probably not
Interesting.
super
Wonder what would be the
intense
performance
unless you
loss.
were printing like thousands of things.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Good. Yeah, but
Interesting.
whoever.
Nikolai's good font.
Yeah, Nikolai
By the
said
way,
time it and compare it with sprintf. Yeah, for something like this, the timing difference is honestly going to be inconsequential.
Yeah.
You would really only notice it if we were to
And
do
scale it
like
up a lot.
hundreds or millions, hundreds of thousands or millions
Which
of
I mean,
entries.
there are databases that are that big. So
Yeah.
I think anytime we're manipulating data in any way, scalability is something that we really are going to want to care about. So actually, I think a lot of these design questions are, definitely coming from the right place.
It's great to think about that type of thing
Yeah,
as you wonder about scaling
yeah, so we
up.
could use a couple different libraries. That's true from statistics.
Oh, Userman2 says people often hear my name as username too. Yeah, no, I'm glad I caught that correctly. From statistics import average. Okay, so there is a module
that's cool.
from
That's
statistics
good.
import average.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's the beautiful thing about Python. There's a library for just about everything. Honestly, it's great. Mean, not the average. From statistics import the mean. Yeah, we probably want the mean. There's also numpy.mean.
Yeah.
NumPy, very very ubiquitous numerical library. Very fast because it has a C compiled binary that it references.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
It ties into it. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
You can use a lambda expression, says Bavik Knight.
Twitch
I think he was referring
know what
to
part.
some. I'm not sure what part he's referring to.
But sure.
How's y'all at Twitch? Twitch app is a bit buggy. Couldn't connect to chat. How are y'all doing? We're doing fantastic.
We are.
How about you? How are you doing? Thank you for joining us, and
Yes,
thank you
yes.
for the follow. Everyone else, it looks like, is chiming in there as well. Yeah, Bavik Knight came in there with the length for E and first names thing, which we did. Props to you two for sticking to naming conventions in Python. Yeah, very important. Lowercase without camel case. I got chewed out many years ago in Stack Overflow. I went to the Stack Overflow chat. One of the people there was like, I would never hire you because I was using camel case notation for variables because I come from a Java background.
Wait, so camel case would be like...
Camel case would be something like if I were to say my list like that.
And so not the first one.
Exactly, like that is camel case, and it is very non-standard in Python to use camel case. It's
Interesting.
You want to use underscore notation or lowercase and underscore notation. I forget the name of it, but I went to the Stack Overflow chat and I was asking for help. And one of the people in there who was a very prominent Stack Overflow Python programmer is like, just FYI, you need to be using this notation. And if I were to hire somebody and see them using variables like this, I would not hire you.
That is tough to hear.
I wasn't a huge. I understand now.
Yeah.
Right, because
readability.
All of the code, it just looks like amateur code if you're using camel case coming into it and like asking questions.
Interesting. Yeah.
And if you look at the corpus of Python code that exists, it's not
and it's
standard.
Called camel case.
Camel case for the capital letters.
Oh,
like a camel.
It's like a hump.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Exactly. I forget what it's named. I forget what the name is for the camel or for the notation that Python typically encourages you to use for variables. But that was a good learning experience for me.
Well, what do you think about underscores?
I like underscores in variable names. I've gotten used to it because that's like, for example, it's common for variables to have that sort of notation, the underscore between words, but without it is fine too. You kind of see it in variable places as long as you don't have capital letters. That's so
interesting.
Capital letters should only be used when you have a class and you're defining a class and that's the name of the class. Capital letter.
All right. Do you have a rule of thumb for how long or short you go with variable names?
I try to make them not too obnoxiously long because I don't want to have to type them over and over again. Like name length is probably one of the larger ones I would go for.
I wouldn't underscore this just because I think that to me looks way too long already.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely makes it look much longer, and it's hard. You got to go and type up the underscore, right? So David in the chat says correct, lowercase with underscores.
Is that
the formal
really?
term? No, it's not the formal terminology, but that is the expected way at which to write variable names in Python for just variables that you would normally use. Now classes are different. Classes expect capitalization and then expect camel case notation within those names, unlike pretty much every other context in Python.
Interesting. That's the convention. Yeah, and then I think the last thing, one of my pet peeves is single character variable names.
Yes.
Even if you're doing something where it's like, even for stuff like files, I'm not really a fan of F as a variable name for sort of anything.
You will see.
Except for as counters.
In a with statement, you will often see the with statement used for file opening with F, as a common convention.
Because I guess it's a block.
Yeah.
So you don't really need.
It gets thrown away at some point. You don't really think about it, but generally single character variable names can be very easy to clobber each other and just kind of forget the semantic meaning of them. Like what's S, what's J, what's L. But if you're using a for loop or a nested for loop, then it makes sense because those variables you're not really doing much with them. A little bit sometimes, they're very isolated.
I think you're right. Yeah, so I think that's a good rule of thumb. Iterators and anything sort of blocked out is maybe an okay idea to do something shorter or less clear, like a single character variable name. Interesting.
Yeah. So many tutorials use camel case. Oh yeah, it's a little painful when you get used to when you get used to Python's way of seeing it, and you're in the context of Python. Obviously, in the context of JavaScript, in the context of C#, Java, whatever, it's expected. But in Python, it just kind of jars you a little bit. You're like, what am I looking at?
That's interesting, and I'm curious. I'm sure it like varies company by company, but you think the convention with Python is always just this interesting.
100%. I learned the hard way. People yelled at me on Stack Overflow. But that's how you learn.
Yeah.
Bye, folks. Dentist, says Brenda. So thanks for joining us, Brenda.
Oh,
Happy
bye,
to
Brenda.
have you. See you on the next stream.
Oh, going to the dentist.
Yeah, I
dentist.
I'd rather not be in Brenda's shoes right now. But Ditwu says, does F-string have the same speed as the % sign? That's a good question. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't looked into it. I would imagine they probably both use the same underlying algorithms, just a different grammar, and maybe they use a different function underneath the hood. I'm pretty sure F-string just used the dot format function under the hood. Okay. I don't think dot format uses the same underlying, because I think the % sign is just a C call. The dot format function and the F-string probably have the same running time, because I think they have almost the exact same parameterization capabilities, the template parameterization, like where you can say like .2f within the template to specify the format. But I don't know. Yeah. Good question. I would be curious to. I'd be curious to see the running time.
Lots of great questions about like Python efficiency, especially like with different versions.
It's important, I think, because Python, it's used a lot in big data sets, right?
Yeah, and it's not like, I think there are some languages where there's one version that's like now become the accepted default, but Python 2 is still very much used online.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of Python 2 legacy code.
Yeah.
I mean, even I was reluctant to switch to Python
legacy
3.
Code.
Yeah. I mean, for the longest time, I was being told, like, Python 3's been out since 2008.
Okay.
But I was not, I started with Python 2.7, and it was hard for me to go to Python 3.
Interesting.
Just because there's a lot of differences in Python 2 versus Python 3. Big among them, I mean, the obvious one would be like the print statement. It's no longer valid. It doesn't work. Yeah. So you have to completely change all of your code with print. But I mean, there's a lot more than that.
Yeah.
But that's one of the more apparent visible things.
That's interesting, and I think I'm sure like when you're sort of like designing a new version, there are all these really interesting conversations I'm sure happening in like some room about what functionality do we sort of leave as like a middle, like a bridge, you know what I mean? Because we looked at one way to format strings that works in both versions, which is interesting. Yeah. So like, to what extent are you going to force people to just change and learn the new language and like learn the new version? And to what extent are you going to sort of like accept that, that transition is probably going to take time, and you should probably leave some functionality there to make it as smooth as possible.
It looks like Userman2 says to that point, says Python 2 is being deprecated in 2020. So in 2020, any companies using Python 2 are kind of SOL.
Interesting.
Snake case is Andre. I guess snake case, yeah.
Snake case? What's snake case?
Underscore with lowercase letters.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Yeah. I think David actually mentioned that recently in another stream.
Really? Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, snake case. That's a pretty cool, like, convention name.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty
cool.
And
it works with Python too.
Yeah.
Let's just camel case. I prefer first name in general on PC, says Bavik Knight. Oh, Bavik Knight's typing, and he's having a hard time typing the variable names with underscores because he's on his phone because the electricity went out where he's living.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Capital letters, starting with the first letter being capital, is called Pascal case.
Interesting.
Says Userman2. I'm guessing that's referring to Pascal, the language, although I'm not 100% sure if that just is another reference to Pascal, the, was he a philosopher, a mathematician? I forget exactly what he was. Screaming snake case, Userman2.
Wow.
Yeah, constant notation.
That's interesting.
Right, in C, right? When we have like the hash define some constant.
Yeah,
that would be, and or you could use the const keyword, for example.
Is that called screaming snake case?
It's not called I don't think it's called screaming snake case. No, it's I don't know what it's called, but it's
like when we're defining like global constants at the beginning of a C program, we'll do like a hashtag define like alphabet length in all caps or something shorter than that, and then you'd put like space 26. And then you could just use, like all caps alphabet length in your code, and your compiler would actually just directly put in replace anywhere that it sees all caps alphabet length with 26, like before even running it, which is great.
Yeah.
And it just, makes the program more readable, and it's also like it's just great because anytime you can let your compiler know that you're not going to be making changes, as by referring to something as constant, you're sort of letting it like giving it a little bit more agency with like how to manipulate what's going on underneath the hood, because it can make a bunch of design decisions that are catered to efficiency like 2 steps ahead, right? Like again, replacing alphabet length everywhere with a 26 just directly, which is good. Yeah,
makes sense. Yeah. F-string 3.7.
Oh, that's so cool! Wow. Okay.
Where?
This.
Oh yeah, the
They
F-string,
tested
at
it.
3.7, faster than percents from my testing. Yeah, they do a lot of efficiency. Like they upgraded the dictionary access speed by quite a bit between 3.6 point something and 3.6 point something, 3.65, 3.66.
Okay.
They like changed their dictionary algorithm, their hashing algorithm in their dictionary, which increased their efficiency quite a lot. And like
By how much?
I don't remember the percentage. It was like meaningful. It was it was like 40% or something.
Wow, that is so meaningful. Wow, okay.
Everything in Python pretty much is like the dictionary. Like I think sets are dictionaries, classes are dictionaries.
Like underneath the hood.
Yeah,
Interesting.
and then dictionaries obviously are dictionaries. Yeah. So much of the language is built on that. So that 40% or whatever the percentage was, it was meaningful.
Remarkable.
It wasn't like 4%. It was a sizable increase. It was actually quite impressive.
That's right.
And it's great that they're keeping like all this into consideration as they keep going.
Well, I liked your comment of dictionaries are dictionaries.
Yeah.
If you take away anything from today,
a very meaningful
dictionaries
statement.
are dictionaries.
Nikolai's gonna keep trying for that. I don't know if we can humor that one, Nikolai. We appreciate your enthusiasm about it though. M. Kloppenberg says F-strings should be the fastest now according to the test that I've seen. Yeah, which is great because F-strings, them being the most readable and the fact that they're putting the most work into making them most efficient. I feel like that's a really cool thing.
That makes sense. Yeah, there's like, I think the evolution of computer science languages is actually really, really fascinating. Like how, not necessarily culture, but like how we start to use the language. Like language changes how we make it better, right? So there's like this really, really cool thing about, like, I think it's like wonderful that programming languages evolve and like that there's like such a clear feedback loop where, people are programming and then they're like, this could be better. And then someone's like, I'll make it better. Awesome, yeah, I'm gonna change it. Here's a new version, it's better. And then everyone gets together and, maybe have a convention on how to improve Python. But I think that's like a really great thing.
And so many people are so opinionated too, which is another thing. Like not every language can please every person.
For sure, yeah. And I think with every change that you make to a language, you're gonna be sort of, be causing a bit of a ruckus. But I think it brings up all these really interesting like trade-offs, and there's like so much room for debate. Like I with a lot of my CS friends, like we are constantly, debating like, not like, okay, so there are a couple design questions that can kind of be easily quantifiable, right? So something can be faster, something can take up less memory, etc. But then there are some that are a little bit more qualitative, like a little bit less clearly measured. And then that's where I think you really can make and lose friends when you're fighting about some of these things. So I think, looking at different versions of programming languages and looking at how they've changed is a really, really cool thing.
Yeah, I had to work hard to get David to embrace F-strings, I'm telling you.
Really?
Yeah, I had to work hard.
Wow.
But it paid off. CS50 teaches F-strings now.
Yeah,
and uses 3.6.
Hey, we did, I guess last year we didn't.
Yeah.
That's it. Oh, wow.
I think we did teach F-strings last year.
Did we?
I think we did. I think it was 2016 where we didn't teach F-strings. I could be
misremembering.
I could be misremembering.
You might be.
If David's still in the chat,
Yeah.
he's the source of truth on that.
Okay. So it's being deprecated.
Too bad it's still standard in all. 2.7 is saying it's too bad. 2.7 Python is still standard in all Linux repositories. That's an interesting decision. Oh, some Linux distros are updated use 3.6. Yeah, I would imagine that would be something that they should preemptively do, especially if it's going to be like deprecated, right? Unless it's like an older distro.
What does it mean for a previous version of a language to be deprecated? Does that just mean you can't I mean, because you
like
still have it.
They'll stop updating it. They'll stop they probably take the documentation off of their front page, or at least put it into a legacy website. They'll start maybe not provide formal support for it, or maybe like just kind of like start not really talking
investing,
about
maybe
it.
like putting money into it. Okay,
I think it's kind of a loose term that different companies will treat in different ways, because a lot of deprecated stuff still gets support like many years down the road.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I don't know. Time to use Windows 10 says Kappa. Yeah.
Why?
There we go. Yeah, instead of Linux.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What is he responding to? Python 2 and user shows. Jai, reply to the Twitch chat, please, says Jai Mahajan 1997.
We're replying.
Oh, yeah. Doing our best. There's a lot. There's so much of it. So much of it.
Yeah.
We're also talking and teaching, so they need to balance it out. Jai Mahajan, did I miss a comment that you said? Is that why you're saying that? I apologize if I missed that. I don't see one up there. Maybe they're just talking about.
Feel free to put that comment in again, though.
Kind of hard to find the proper balance. Give them some slack. It's a lot of. I honestly enjoy the discussion, the back and forth discussion a lot, and I feel bad when I don't have time to read everything. But I also feel bad when we don't have enough time to teach the concepts because I feel like that's essentially why a lot of people are here. They want to learn the content.
That makes sense.
So a nice sort of 50-50. The ideal 50-50 would be nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to
Make
say.
the lines wrap around.
The lines wrap around, says recursive chat. By the way, thanks for joining. I don't recognize the username. I do recognize Code Air, who rated us last time. So thank you, Code Air, for being a part of that, and thank you for rating.
Cool. Rating positively?
Rating means that they bring their chat into our channel. So on their channel, they have their own channel.
Yeah.
They take their people in their chat
Okay.
and they bring them into our channel.
Oh, wait, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Which is why we have the little.
I'm not sure. I think that just means that they have a Twitch something, not Twitch Prime. Twitch Prime has a different icon. Something else.
Okay.
Twitch Prime has the purple one, I think.
I'm not sure what recursive chat means by. Can you make the lines?
Oh, in your text editor.
Okay.
I think you can. I think it's in your view settings. I'm not entirely sure of Adam offhand.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure.
Oh, toggle soft wrap. Try that, and now go back to the other tab. That didn't work. Oh, maybe. Oh, because maybe it's for each page. Try going back and then doing it again. Go to view, toggle soft wrap. There we go.
Oh,
So it's a little
nice.
bit weird though because it doesn't indent it, so it kind of looks ugly in my opinion.
Yeah.
But that's.
See, I would argue that's less readable.
You could go. Yeah, it is less readable. You could do
think
Command
about it.
minus and then maybe shrink it. Maybe that would work. We could
yeah.
see more of it. Yeah, something like that. Looks like it's reverting. Oh, there we go. Perfect.
Kind of freaking out.
That looks good. That looks great.
Okay,
right?
we'll leave that
and
there.
that's still, I think, perfectly readable on the channel as well.
I think so. I think it depends. If you're on your phone, it's probably a little small.
Oh,
but-
it is Twitch Prime, says Code Air. Oh, thank you. I'm still very new to the Twitch landscape. I've been a passive viewer of Twitch channels, but not actually engaged with it directly a whole lot. Try the example of sorting by elements in a list or tuples.
Yeah,
says Babbitt.
sure. We can do that. So let's go back to our. Okay, so how about we do this? We could recast our set of first names as a list, and then order that.
Okay.
Like sort that.
Yep.
Again, remember the reason we can't sort of like directly sort our set is that sets are inherently unordered, so there's like no sense of ordering, if that makes sense. Cool. Dun, 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 dun. Wow. Okay. We really have been going for a while.
Yeah, we've been
Okay.
going, yeah, we're at 2 hours 48 minutes right now. We typically, I don't know what time you want to adjourn. We can go for until whatever other examples you have set up, maybe, and then take
good,
questions,
yeah.
and then we'll
Sorting
do a
lists,
part 2.
sentences. Yeah, sounds good. Okay, let me go ahead and print. I think I can do sort. Oh, okay, no, actually, I'm going to do, because this will directly sort it. It's not producing a copy, and then I can go ahead and print that. Okay, so what I've done right now is I said, hey, please just create a list of the set that we have with first names. And the reason I'm looking at the set is that, like, the list of all the first names isn't really that important, except when we're doing, like, the stuff we did before of, like, averages and number of presidents that have this name. So now we can just do, like, recasting that set of first names as a list, and then I'm going to say, hey, calling the sort method, and the sort method will, it'll sort the actual elements of the set, of the list, of the list. So it's not like it's not like generating a copy or anything, it's directly sorting them, which is why I can just directly print it here. So let's go ahead and...
Nice, and it
So
did
we're
sort
just-
them by the letter of their first name. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
I think there's a way to sort like Z to A.
I think you would have to pass in a lambda. I think you would say lambda x, and then what is it? I forget the exact Python sort backwards. The old Google. Oh, is it reverse? Oh yeah, no, you would just say. Oh no, you have to define a function.
Okay.
Oh wait, no, this is for dates. This is for dates. In-place sorting would be reverse equals true.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Just type reverse equals true.
Oh, interesting. Do you write your trues?
You can't write them
I was
lowercase.
going to say I have to write uppercase, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then that should work. Boom.
Interesting.
Now, if you have a more complicated sort
Yeah.
that you want, you can pass in a lambda function, and so that's what an anonymous function. Well, it's not a lambda function because you have to define it. You have to use the lambda keyword though to reference it. Oh, sorry, no, you just have to, you pass a key to that's a reference to a function. There's an example on Stack Overflow about sorting a list in descending order if anybody wants to look at it. But if you want to do it on one line, you basically use a lambda function. If you want to do it on as many lines as you possibly want, and you want to make it a little bit easier to read, you can just define a function, pass that function as the key to the sort function, and it will take that function and apply it to the data, and use that as the filter, basically, or not the filter, but they'll use that as the sorting logic.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I would love to take questions because I think at some point I have to.
Oh, that's true. You gotta
head out to office hours.
You got office hours and classes and stuff like that.
I do have office hours and classes.
Let's finish. Let's finish
take
looking
a
through the
look.
chat
Okay,
here.
in
Oh,
CS50.
Brian's in the chat. In CS50 2016, we taught Python strings with the .format method.
Aw,
Yes,
yay.
I do remember that. And correct me, Brian, if I'm wrong, but I thought last year, 2017, we used F strings for the first time. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure we used F strings. Userman who's deprecated is no more updates. It's frozen in time, never to be touched again. Oof,
What is it?
That sounds
Oh,
cold.
deprecated equals no more updates. Wow.
That's cold. That's cold. I imagine the no more updates. Oh, it looks like sorry, I'm a little bit behind in the chat, but David at the very bottom is saying correct. 2017 was when we used F strings for the first time. David also posted a link in reference to what somebody else said about Node.js. So Userman2 says, funny story about deprecation I heard. A lot of Node.js projects, I think, relied on a string padding function. This function was removed and it caused a lot of errors and crashes in quite a lot of business software.
Wait, that's so interesting.
I feel like that's so dangerous to do.
Well, okay, so I also think with deprecation, there's all this really interesting stuff of like, how does one tell people something is getting deprecated? You know what I mean? Like, how far in advance? Like, what's the right time frame for that? What's the right timeline? You know, how many months or years are companies going to need if they're going to sort of switch from one version to another? That's a thanks for sharing that. That's exciting.
I feel like when I usually see deprecation warnings is in code when I'm writing it and I compile it, and then it's like, warning, this function is going to be deprecated in X, or this function is deprecated. Try start using this other function.
Wow. Okay.
So I don't know. I think they. It's a hard thing to do. I would imagine, like getting people saying, "Hey, everybody, all the people that are coding this, you're gonna have to get rid of the way that you've been doing things and do this new thing, and you kind of don't have a choice if you want to keep continuing."
Yeah.
So sucks, but Cefeba, readable on the phone. Oh, referring to your source code. So that's great. So if it's readable on mobile, it's readable anywhere, right?
Good.
And then Bavik Knight provided a
cool.
a dictionary
More stuff,
sorted
yeah.
by age, right?
That's
Yeah. Okay, that's a great example. That was a loud.
I know.
Crack. Oh, I heard that neck crack. Felt it. Key functions for custom sorting reverse equals true. Yep. Correct.
What's that? Oh, like slicing?
Slicing. I forget what the
Well,
double.
yeah, what's the negative?
I forget what that is offhand. I used that in a script like not long ago.
Really? Okay.
What was it? Python slice double colon. And what is double colon in Python with subscripting?
Stack Overflow.
Means nothing for the first argument, nothing for the second. Jump by. Oh, the jump by amount.
Interesting.
So if you want to iterate backwards through something, you would, because you can specify a jump amount. So you can iterate through something
negative.
by.
Okay.
Yeah. So by -1 means it will start and work your way backwards.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
cool.
it's super cool. Yeah, that's right. I did see that.
Userman2 saying true is equal to true. I don't know if that'll work.
Say what again?
Someone's saying Userman2.
Oh no, he's saying Userman2 is giving you the kappa as the sarcasm. So he's basically saying true is equal to true, which normally would be the case.
Yeah.
But in Python is case sensitive when it applies to the true literal.
Okay.
So you can't actually do that.
So this little one
it's
is
sarcasm. Yeah.
It's a sarcasm?
It's called kappa. Yeah, it's a Twitch meme. It's one of the founders of Twitch. Or Justin TV.
Okay.
That's his face.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's
I just
pretty.
didn't
You'll see it
try.
all over the place.
Okay.
Yeah. Another one right here. The wonderful world of business software where nothing can be updated because of dependencies.
Okay, so
kappa.
dependencies like depending on a
legacy
version.
legacy software. Yeah.
Oh.
Having your project set up such that you rely on version 3.1.10 of some library, 2.6.5 of some other library, and if any of them change and they have deprecated functions, you're screwed because you don't have access to those functions anymore.
That is so interesting.
I've seen it kind of in some like Node projects, like they'll rely on a specific library of a specific version, and they'll change it, and then you try to npm install if you've gotten like a bunch of let's say you've updated those libraries or something, and you try to npm install, it just gets broken. So you got to go in and fix it or change whatever is wrong with it. It's not the greatest.
That's terrible.
Not the greatest experience. So you have to stay very strictly to those versions.
I almost feel like it's a legal issue. Like if I were like a big company using, some version of like a programming language, I think I'd want some sort of like legally enforced warning.
I think a lot of these libraries, I think that's why
Can you sue?
I think that's why they have like these license terms that say this software is provided as is without a warranty. Like any damage that gets incurred is on behalf of the user, not the library provider. For that reason.
Yeah, no.
For that exact reason.
I can really imagine myself just like suing.
And then userman2 says start, stop, and the step amount is the
okay,
term.
awesome.
Okay, I'm leaving. Workday is done. Stay peaceful, 89. Thanks for joining us. Next stream is tomorrow with the Master Jedi, the Dark Lord himself, David J. Malin, regular expressions. Come and join us. That's going to be a fantastic stream. I'm looking forward to that one. That one's going to be at 3 p.m. tomorrow, Eastern Standard Time. A little later than the streams that David and I usually do. We usually do it at 1. But I think tomorrow...
One's a good time.
Yeah. 1 is a good time because we get more reach abroad, typically.
Because of time zone.
Some folks, for them, it's like 2 or 3 a.m. I think even some of the people that are in the chat right now.
Wait, that's I was about to say, I wonder what is the ideal time?
It's hard because no matter what time you choose, it's going to be 2 a.m. somewhere.
No, but this is what an interesting question. If you look at what time would you what hour will maximize the number of people that can watch something?
There is an ideal time for our audience.
Worldwide.
I don't know. That's a good question.
You know what I mean? Is it 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time? I have no idea.
Yeah, probably something like that. Yeah, because we do have a large international audience.
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably something like that. Yeah.
That is so interesting. Wow. Okay.
Oh, userman2 setting a variable called true and setting it to true. That's a good point. You could do that. You could do that.
That's funny.
I like that.
That's funny.
I do like that. I like that. D3AH, love that joke. Is function overloading possible? Is there a workaround? Function overloading. Excuse me. So defining a function and then overloading the function, or calling a function with multiple signatures, I'm guessing. So you can call functions with variable signatures, and that shouldn't throw an error. If you redefine a function, we can test it real quick.
Sure.
So if I go to, and they're not seeing it on my chat, but we can replicate this and figure it out. So I'm gonna def foo x pass, def foo y pass. Did I? Oh no, I did something wrong. Sorry. Def foo pass.
Oh.
Okay, and then def foo y pass. Oh yeah, you can overload it. So you can just redefine it, and it'll overwrite the prior function definition. Thanks for the question, Jai Mahajan 1997. You can use, you can unpack arguments and use keyword arguments and do checks. That's the more flexible version. You would typically not want to overwrite a function. I guess overload is usually applied to operators in like a language like C.
Okay.
You can do it in Python, I think. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
I think you can define like what plus does.
Really?
Because like lists, for example, you can add lists together, for example, and that has specific behavior. But
so you're saying okay, that's interesting.
That's called operator overloading.
Operator.
That's something you see a lot in C++. That's one of the big paradigms. It's a little bit awkward to use. And David G. Malin with the smiley there.
I don't know what is. Robot.
He doesn't like what I said about our stream tomorrow. It's gonna be a great stream though. Tune in for that.
Wait, why doesn't he like what you said about your stream?
I think the Dark Lord, Master Jedi.
I really think it's I think he has such a fan base.
Nope, he does. He definitely does.
It's really
very enthusiastic fan base at the Star Wars references.
Brian is also in the chat.
Yeah. Everyone's excited to see Brian. Brian might have stepped out though because he didn't comment after that other one.
But he was here.
But maybe because David clarified. If length of args is equal to 2 param version. Oh, yeah. You could defer your function call to other sub functions. You can actually define them within the function after you call the regular function, the main function itself, and then just call different functions depending on how many arguments they entered into the signature.
Interesting.
Different names for the user to choose from. Yep. Yeah, Brian's there. Nice. To be honest, uses keyword args become hard to maintain, especially there are a lot of variants and documentation is hard to keep updated for the main function. Yeah, I can see that getting very messy.
Interesting, yeah.
I feel like I've seen that in libraries though, where they do have a lot of that flexible argument checking, just because I almost feel like it'd be better style to write smaller functions, just classic modular design.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it varies on a library. I
think I'd err on the side of smaller functions as well.
Smaller functions is like a universal recommendation, but it's one of those things that's easy to suggest and do and think about, but hard necessarily to always implement, depending on the complexity of your logic.
Like I've had a couple situations like recently where I've been coding like within one function, and then I just I keep thinking, should I break this out into another function? And I'm like, and there's a couple like easy things like, will I use this again? And then sometimes you're like, yes, okay, let's break it out into another function. But then sometimes you're like, I'm only going to use this once, but it might be clearer if it were in a different function, and but then maybe it's going to be a few extra lines of code. So I don't know. These are always interesting things, that keep me up
Sometimes
at night.
You're just like, oh, do I want to go through the effort of doing it too? And it can be hard. And then there's the natural feature creep of scripts that you've written too. Like if you have to go back to it over and over and over again and add new stuff. Sometimes you're just like, I just want to finish writing it and just add more stuff to it. I'm not going to modularize it. And then you regret it later when you have to do it again.
Yes.
And your script is like gargantuan.
Yeah.
So.
Gargantuan.
Bavik
How do you spell that?
Gargantuan. Gargantuan. U-A-N. Yeah. Just like that.
I'm really just,
nice.
I don't even know why.
String multiplication.
I really got into this string multiplication.
Gotta automate that string concatenation.
Yeah, I just thought it was so fun.
Veronica, you have great support, says Fatma.
I do, yeah.
David Sir is Master Yoda.
Oh wait, so Master Yoda, so different.
Yoda's different than the Dark Lord versus the Master Jedi. He's gone from Master Jedi to Dark Lord to
Master Yoda's
way down to Master Yoda.
Isn't Master Jedi the same thing as Master Yoda?
No, because Yoda's the green guy.
I know Yoda. Is he not a Jedi? He is a Jedi. The main Jedi?
I don't know if he's a...
The Jedi Master. Is he the Master?
He's like the Jedi mentor, like kind of. Not. It depends on which episode you're looking at.
Okay, yeah, sure.
But yeah, a common workaround for alternate constructors is having the main take the base stuff, then have class.from user, which extracts the info and calls the main init. Let me read that one more time. A common workaround for alternate constructors is having the main take the based stuff. Not sure what that means. The base stuff. Like the arguments from if you have a main class and you take arguments in the constructor, have class.from user, which extracts the info and calls the main init. I guess like filtering the data before you call your init function on the constructor, if that's what you mean. Like in the meta class or in the actual class itself? Not sure.
Yeah, more.
Yoda is a Master Jedi, I think, says Userman 2. I think he is as well.
Good.
I think Jedi is just a class of stuff.
A class.
Yeah. There we go. Another class. And then President of Mars. I'm not sure what that.
I think it's a sad,
sad because I think pretty soon we're gonna wrap the stream up actually because you have to head out.
I do. I have class.
Oh,
I don't have class. I have office hours.
Oh, what office hours?
For systems programming.
Oh, okay. Where's that being held at?
Maxwell Dworkin.
Okay.
I have a bike. But it's raining.
Is that where most of the CS courses
are?
Yep.
I spend so much time there. So Mather to Maxwell Dworkin is quite far.
We have a question for Brian in the chat, actually.
Ooh.
By the way, if anybody's tuning in and hasn't seen the stream with Brian where we talk about React, it's a great stream. Check it out. It's on YouTube and it's on Twitch, a VOD, but it's probably going to be taken off at some point. On Twitch, we have a 60-day period where our videos are up. But on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube...
It's persistent.
Yeah.
Cool.
Forever and ever. The React stream, it's awesome. Awesome intro to React. Quick, use of submit 50 is optional, so if I make a GitHub repo to push code, wouldn't it be against the honor code because repos are by default public? That's a good question. User init, name or age, then user from dict info, user.init dict name, cut it short, but you still get the point. I think I get an example of what you're talking about. Sort of just kind of deferring depending on the input, like what the constructor does. Basically, alternate constructors. Yeah, I think I understand where you're coming from. All right, we'll take some last questions.
Yeah.
For maybe another 5 or so minutes, and then we'll wrap up. And then we'll do another part,
Yeah.
I don't know how many things we covered today. We covered a lot. I mean, there were maybe like 10 big topics, but then within each of those, we probably touched on like 5 or 6 different smaller things. So we probably covered like 30 or 40 different things.
That being said, I think this is gonna have to be like a, 80-part series. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, you are gonna go. We're gonna go full 100. Okay.
Well, I mean, I like sort of setting high goals and trying to meet them. You know.
Respect. Yeah, no, I think everyone wants to see 100 stuff.
We'll get there.
Things. We definitely got a lot. We covered a lot. We covered like 40. I would say 40
did.
different little.
But I also think like a bunch of Python stuff like intermixed with some like interesting random life things and
system
then, like,
stuff, which is very.
But also like other bigger picture CS stuff. Like it's not all about just the coding. A lot of it's problem solving and legal stuff and like culture. And design.
And Russian literature.
And Russian literature, yeah, Pushkin.
It's all a web of
it's
stuff.
Really it's all about life.
It's all about, oh man. Yeah, Brian, you responded.
Awesome. Great.
It's push code to get a brief as long as the work you submit is your own. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Wow, Colton, you're doing a great job posting it. It's fun. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah.
You've tuned in multiple times. We're glad to have you with us.
It's astonished. Oh, that's good.
Oh,
good.
Okay.
I was so worried that it was like, sorry, I hit my mic. I'm so sorry. I thought it was like I'm devastated.
It's from the bttv extension, so we actually can't see it. We don't have the bttv extension enabled, but if we did, we would see some custom emoji, which is cool.
I see.
An example of alternative functions if needed.
Good.
Oh, it's in Ruby as well. Okay.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, yeah, that's helpful.
Interesting. Oh, it's not in Ruby. Is it in Ruby? It looks like Python.
I was gonna say it does look like Python, but it's got the.
It's .rb.
Yeah.
Oh, unless it's being served. I don't know why it would be served from RB. I'm not sure. It's okay, I see. So from dict, and then CLS is the class type for the constructor, and then it's passing in the information. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Interesting. Okay, so you can click on that link.
It's something that it looks like library type code. I don't do a lot of library editing, and
oh look, we do have some Russian literature. Look at
nice.
that.
Steve Ronix, by the way, thank you for joining us. I think this is the first time we've seen your name. Anna Karenina.
Yeah.
Have you read that?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. Is that on your to-do list?
It is. I have a long to-do list that's like it's like a multi-dimensional array of all these different things I want to do.
All right, and we're gonna cut here. I'm just kidding.
No, I haven't read it yet, but it's like the class I'm taking is mainly Russian short stories and poetry, which is really interesting. There's like a remarkable amount of Russian short stories.
All I know is that Russian literature typically is very long. That's
So the short stories are shorter, which is nice. But that class is actually called Strange Russian Writers. So it's all, like right now we're doing madness. I'm finishing up a paper on dead bodies.
Interesting.
And, is death final?
A somber note to...
let's go with a better note.
Pastebin is pretty funny with the language it assumes sometimes. Oh, okay, so Pastebin is assuming the type based on code. So does that mean that it was interoperably functional with Ruby? Because that'd be fascinating. Huh. Kind of have to make more time for more readings, says Bavik Knight, yeah.
Same. Okay.
I missed like a lot of these comments here. Books on Tolstoy, War and Peace, Anna Karenina.
Wonderful.
Bavik Knight. Much more culture than me. I'm not into Russian literature. I have not decided to take the dive
that was me
into Russian literature.
3 months ago. Anyone can do it. Nah, it was Python. Oh, but he's finished.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know it was Python. I wasn't sure if because it was .rb, if like the Ruby and Python grammar are so close now that they're interchangeably parsable, which would be in that instance, which would be crazy.
And that's a whole thing, the idea of like, that's cool. Interchangeably parsability. Yeah. Interchangeable parsability.
Like whether a subset of a language or whether a language can act as a subset of another language given a limited use of the language, maybe.
You know what I haven't seen recently? A good tree structure of the evolution of programming languages.
Ah,
I
interesting.
feel like there are a lot out there, but they're like, there are so many that they should really be like a cool, like, I don't know, like D3.
Yeah, that would be perfect. Yeah.
Dynamic.
You could do a
cool
search
thing
for
with
it, and it would like
links,
open the
yeah.
tree to.
Oh,
that'd be really cool, actually.
That's cool. I like D3.
Type
yeah.
C, and it's like kind of top,
Yeah.
high up-ish, and then type.
And
Like,
it says like whether it's been deprecated or like parsability.
yeah, just having like an API that it could query for all that information.
That's cool.
Interesting if that actually exists. It looks like, is that Flux that you have on your screen? Why it looks kind of orangish?
Oh, it is Flux. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's funny.
That's funny. Just started because
A little bit of Flux on there.
That's funny.
First language is not English; it's third language, so it kind of takes time for me. It's the way I improve vocabulary.
Go you anytime. Yeah, I always think go.
Very
Speak a
impressive.
bunch of
Diving
languages.
into Anna
Nice word,
Karenina
yeah.
just for some casual English. That's impressive.
Wow, that's fun. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, well, thank you, everybody. Thanks to
thanks
Veronica.
for tuning in.
Thank you so much for
for
coming in
having
to
me.
do.
What a nice community.
Yeah, this is so much fun.
Aw.
The so we'll have to do another one.
Yeah,
at some
for
point.
sure,
And I
yeah.
know you said you want to do an assembly one. That would be pretty crazy. I'd have to do some reading up on.
Yeah, no, we could do like systems, like
Ooh, man.
systems, like I was gonna say 101, but even like systems like 50.
Yeah.
Because it's like a really steep learning curve.
I wouldn't mind being a part of
Yeah.
that and seeing what you're up to because I don't do a lot of system stuff. I briefly like to do it at one point, but being able to like dive into it a little bit deeper than I ever went would be kind of fun.
It is fascinating. It's really funny. Like, people right now, like a lot of people ask me, like, oh, like what CS class are you taking? And I'm like, oh, I'm taking like a really low level CS class, and everyone's like, oh, so it's like really easy. And I'm like, no, that's not what low level in this context means.
Yeah, people don't know.
People don't know.
People not involved
out
in
of-
programming
yes,
don't understand that
The-
high actually means like simple or more simple,
Or more
abstract.
abstracted, exactly.
And then low level means like closer to the metal, etc.
Yeah, look, but
More-
the low level
more
stuff
minute.
is really cool. Like I feel like friends. Like this is gonna sound weird, but I feel like I've never been more friends with my like terminal and computer than I am right now.
Oh
Does
yeah,
that make sense?
yeah, because you're understanding it better.
I really understand it, and like it makes so many decisions that I never thought about. The compiler has this really really cool role.
Yeah.
So it's a fascinating thing.
Yeah, it's a world I'd like to dive into more. So that'd be
Yeah.
a super cool stream.
Okay,
Bella
good,
Kira says,
yeah.
thank you, Colton Veronica. I had a great time. Thank you, Bella, for joining us.
What is CS50?
Yeah, I don't think he's being ironic though. He says, "What is CS50? I'm new to Python." So
right.
if you're not sure what CS50 is, it is a course taught at Harvard by David J. Malin, and Veronica is the head course assistant this year.
Yep.
Brian Yu is our head teaching fellow. He's been in the chat, and it's just an intro to computer science. We go
Yep.
through a lot of different topics. We teach it in C. We cover JavaScript. We cover Python. And all of the videos are available online. All
Yep.
of our lectures. If you go
All
to
the materials,
YouTube,
everything's online.
Go to YouTube. Veronica's even translating it into Spanish, which is awesome. But if you go to YouTube and then go to just type CS50 Lectures 2018, you'll see David on stage in Sanders Theater at Harvard giving a lecture. And
Okay,
like I
Friday.
said, covers a
Yeah.
lot of stuff. We teach Python pretty extensively.
Yeah. Python and C. We start with C. So that's a bit of a lower level background. And then you sort of like work your way up and go into Python and JavaScript. It's really a great course.
Yeah, more than necessarily the individual languages is just the algorithmic way of thinking.
Yeah, problem solving.
Yeah.
Again, it really just sort of makes your brain process life differently.
Yeah, it really does. So
Which
definitely
is
check that out
exciting.
if you're not
Newer, on the
familiar with
newer
CS50.
side, yeah.
Exactly. We're
Yeah.
super happy to have people that are new
Oh,
to
of
the
all-
CS50
of
community
all comfort levels,
coming to us
yeah,
from Twitch as
for
well, which
sure.
is super great. M. Kloppenberg says assembly would be awesome.
Beautiful. Yeah. Awesome.
JP Guy, another awesome stream. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thanks.
You did a great job. For Sunlight, JP Guy well said. Steve Ronix, check it out here. Oh, tossed a link into the chat. Awesome.
Good. Awesome.
For Sunlight's
Thank you.
Under the Hood.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of David's favorite phrases, and it started to become part of.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah.
I say it all the time now.
When you're around like someone with such a unique way of expressing some things, you sort of start to incorporate them. So I have like recently, this is so weird. I've been texting a lot of like if else. So I'd be like, if at the dining hall, please bring me an apple. Else, don't worry.
Veronica,
You know what I mean?
you gotta stop that. We're done.
Okay.
Good to have you, Veronica.
Aw,
See you next
thank
year.
you.
Happy
See you
birth-
next year.
Hopefully not next year.
Like when I am a year older.
Oh, you know.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's correct. Although,
I will-
by the time we do our next stream, might actually be next year because the
the
semester's
year is
ending pretty
over,
soon. We mentioned it on
almost,
stream
yeah.
before, but this week is
Oh,
Thanksgiving.
yeah.
Then the week after that's the hackathon, and then the fair, and then we're done. right?
So it might be next year.
Yeah, we might have to. Yeah,
I may be
we'll
a
schedule
year
something.
older in many different ways.
So much wiser
Wow.
as well.
More wrinkles.
We'll set up another stream, maybe past J-term or something.
Sorry, that was the Spanish link. Happy there's a Spanish link.
What happened?
No,
Sorry, that was a Spanish link. Oh, that's awesome.
That's great.
That's awesome. Finished a doubly singular linked list implementation, but that's all. I'm
Nice
a student, says
work.
Steve on it. Awesome. That's super
go
cool.
you.
That's super cool. If it wasn't C or C++, then you'll fit right along in CS50. Bella Killer, good day. Barbara and I likewise, Bella Killers. So we tried our best to keep up with the chat.
Yes.
There was a lot of it.
Yeah,
And
so much. Wow.
I'm super happy that it was, because this involvement problem, Mrs. Veronica Nutting at 20. Come on, the involvement of the chat is super cool. I'm super excited about it.
I think that's sort of what makes again this type of thing unique, right? Because we're sort of it's again a conversation, which is cool.
Yeah,
Very dynamic.
And it's been a lot of fun. And this was a great stream.
Yeah.
It was great to look into Python. This is the second Python stream we've done, but that was a specific use case. This being able to go sort of down to some more fundamental stuff and then work up to an example was super cool.
Yeah.
And it would love to do more of these types of videos. Yeah. So let's definitely do that. But yeah.
Yay! Thank you for joining us.
She's super funny, says Vavik Knight. Not even Spanish for some reason, exporting Spanish on me from time to time. Dutch native here.
That's funny.
Time to learn a new language. All right, so I'm going to bring us back to the wider shot here. So thanks so much, everybody. Tomorrow, tune in for David J. Malin, and I will give mostly David J. Malin will be giving a regex tutorial, some cool examples. And this is CS50 on Twitch. My name is Colton Ogden.
This is so weird, because it's like opposite or something. And I'm Veronica Nutting. Thank you so much for joining.
This was not 100 cool things to do in Python. It was probably like 40 or 50 cool things, but we will finish
We're
off.
going to get there. This will be, again, a multi-part situation. Yay, thank you.
So I will see all of you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.